Hello, everybody, and welcome to the PlayVS Spring 21 Collegiate Championship featuring Fortnite. I'm Fallout, joined alongside Somebody's Gun as we are back for week 2 of the Spring 2021 action, this time with trios. SMG, how you doing today, and how excited are you?
Oh man, I'm pumped. We were doing this last week for the solos, and I'm excited to be back with you here Fallout. We're in for some awesome Fortnite here today. Some of the best collegiate players from the North American East region, and they're about to go head-to-head for us.
Absolutely. NA West and NA East put on a show during solos. Now we get to watch trios in action. I am beyond excited. And of course, let's take a look at the schedule so you can know exactly how things are going to take place today on broadcast. We're going to be kicking off, of course, with our national finals for the trio competition. Gameplay started. Yes, that's right. That was 6 minutes ago because gameplay has started. We're going to jump into gameplay here in a moment. Let's take a look at the format as well. SMG, walk us through the format, how it's going to work.
I got you. So, 2 points per elimination, a little different than what we saw in the solos. You're going to start to get placement at 30th. It's 1 point per every single placement. From 30th to 21st, they add up. Then, once you start to get in the top 20, you get 2 points per, all the way up to 6th place. From 5th place to 2nd, you're going to get 3 points per each additional placement. And that sweet, sweet Victory Royale is going to be giving you 5 points. It's the cumulative of them all, plus the eliminations, and here's what we're looking at for cash prizes, for Scholastic cash prizes here today, Fallout.
That's right. $12,000 in Scholastic awards for first place. A total prize pool of about $42,000 that's going to be awarded to these collegiate players, which is great to see. A significant opportunity here. And you talked about the scoring. We're going right into prizes. Well, the way you're going to secure that first place 12 grand Scholastic prizing award is really all about placement. It seems like we're going to be talking a lot about that, but it's a very placement heavy format overall. Would you agree with that, SMG?
Definitely. And we saw the same things in solos. It's a lot of focus on making it towards the end of the game and securing those wins. That top 5 to that Victory Royale, you get a huge chunk of points in between there. And if you're falling off before then, you gotta be kicking yourself, because you need to secure those top 5, even those top 2. The Victory Royale is so important to differentiate yourself from the rest of the pack.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're watching right now and you're wondering, hey, I'm in college, I want to participate in this, make sure to follow @PlayVS on all socials. And speaking of participants, let's take a look at the participants today, looking at page number 1. We got some familiar faces that we saw last week and some players that we know from competitive Fortnite. We got Mars7 and Beggs coming from the University of Maryland, UMD, the Big Ten, representing well. We got Dylan and Derpy is fishing. Dylan is no longer fishing. He was last week. He decided to stop his fishing expedition. They'll be playing alongside Arrow CK coming from Texas A&M down in the great big state of Texas. We got Lasix, Junie, Sirius, Control, Kinger, and Harsh, Roy, Conic, Prazy, and a variety of others here on page number 1. Let's take a look at page 2. Somebody's gone. Walk us through it.
We got Crispy, Smarty, kicking up in the top right. You got Lucky, Stems, McCore. You got Shift, Gingy, Swerved, Abram, Chankin, Siphon, former World Cup qualifier there in Chankins, playing with his trio. Got Zyfix, Crimo, Sleaze, some other trios we got walking around in this third page. Gotta check out my friends that I play some Fortnite with in the top left corner, Hunter, Bruston, and Woody. These guys playing from Michigan State, so congrats to them for making it here. And we have Omar, Zas, T Jones 1K, Holy Hayo, Googly, B-Dog, Toastiest Waffles, Capler, Twin, lots of known names and lots of unknowns here, Fallout.
That's right. Yeah, playing alongside Meep, University of Central Florida represented as well. That's the cool thing about this, right? Each team is representing a college or university across the United States or Canada. So keep in mind, we're going to have players representing their schools. We're going to see which school's on top. We're going to see which players obviously end up on top. But all 3 players have attended that school. So I'm excited for, some school pride to come into effect here. I've been a big fan of the growth of collegiate esports. The fact that we're now seeing multiple schools, over 50 universities, offer scholarships to play Fortnite, which is insane. So if you're watching, you're in high school or middle school right now, make sure to let your parents know, hey, I can pay for school doing this, and I can also do what I love while pursuing professional Fortnite. It is amazing to see where collegiate esports has gone since we attended college. Somebody's gone.
No doubt, no doubt. And there's the high school PlayVS events that go on as well for Fortnite. So if you're too young, you're not in college yet, you can also check those out. PlayVS does a lot of stuff for both the collegiate and high school communities. So make sure to check them out, like Fallout said. And hey, maybe you weren't able to participate. You couldn't find a full trio this year from your school. Get it together, figure it out. There's clubs, there's ways to get interactive at a lot of different schools. Talk to people that enjoy Fortnite as well and get yourself a trio, duo, whatever next season happens to be.
Love it. And it's crazy to think PlayVS was founded in 2018 by Delane Parnell out of Detroit. So big shout out to PlayVS. It's only been 3 years, and how fast that they've just spread like wildfire across all high schools, universities, collegiate of course included, is just amazing across the U.S. So big shout out to PlayVS, the de facto organization for all things high school and collegiate scholastic esports, as that's really become, I think in my eyes, the future of esports in many, many ways. So a lot of exciting things to come. We'll be talking about that more for sure, but guess what? More important than that, we got gameplay. The Spring 21 Championship featuring Fortnite is live. We're jumping into gameplay. We're going to kick things off with Shift and the Goofy Goober Seb himself.
Little side-by-side cam here. We get to see what's going on the map. I always love to see the spread, so you get to see what's contested right off spawn and then who's going where the open spots are. But here's one of the contests is over with Goofy Goober, who has a teammate down. Looks like they were able to get a knock as well. We'll have to see. Everyone appears to be shambles right off the rip here. It's just grab your weapon and hope for the best at this point, as Goofy Goober's going for it right here in the open. Nope, okay. Deciding to get at least one build before he tries to get his teammate up, and uh-oh. This is not looking good for him here as he goes down, and now it's up to empty.
That's right, and it looks like these two teams both dropping in the same initial drop spot, and I think that's going to be all she wrote, as it looks like Fedgy and Co. will end up on top. But that's natural, right? We're playing in lobbies with players that aren't necessarily used to competing against one another, whereas in the pro scene, everyone kind of knows where everyone's going to land. You kind of have a different location, completely secured, especially if you're Booga and you tweet about it before every single tournament. But at this competition, I think in the early games, the lobby's going to kind of neutralize a little bit. People are going to get familiarized with who's dropping where. People are going to condition certain areas, and say, look, this is ours. We're going to fight you no matter what if you drop it. And it won't be till like game 3 or 4 that I think things are finally going to stabilize a little bit and kind of reach that equilibrium.
It's going to take some time, and that's a really good point. Typically, when you know who you're playing up against, you can scout, do a little bit of homework here, but not necessarily going to be available unless people are going back into VODs and seeing where these trios land in former PlayVS events. Even still, that does not mean that that trio is going to do the same exact thing, as we now have two trios at a stalemate here in Lazy Lake, just staring at each other with those ARs, and another fight breaking out here in the center of the map.
Here we go. Kept Daddy, Big Riv, and Mika on board right now as they find themselves in a 3v3 against Clemson's Jake. I believe Jake coming from Clemson. I did see we had some Clemson representation, and we do. Clemson Jake alongside Rocket Man and Kept Daddy. Here we go. Carolinas going up against Dr. Duke and co, trying to make Trevor Lawrence, the recent first draft pick coming out of Trenton, Clemson, proud, and looks like it's going to be Micah, Dr. Duke, and Big Riv who get the last laugh here. They're going to get the revive, and they will win that fight. Clemson is out for now, but we still got Kept Daddy alive.
Hey, only game one. We'll get to see how this plays out. Even if you lose the first one, doesn't mean that you can't go back again. But might be time to go back into the VODs, try and do some homework here, figure out, okay, maybe not the best idea to contest off spawn in these kind of tournaments, especially with the placement format. So find an open spot on the map. I'm sure there's plenty. This is the split season. Typically, you know, everyone wants to land a POI, but this season more than ever, I think we're seeing teams split off, take different pieces of random loot, and you can kind of thank EU player Cammy for creating that as a strong meta play.
Cammy, a Polish sensation, always pushing the meta when I've seen over the past few years. As we're now seeing a llama stuck in a tree. Poor llama. We need someone to come rescue it. Call the fire department. Bring a ladder. And rescue this poor llama from the tree. If you can, please and thank you. And meanwhile, team we just talked about on top, Micah and co, representing Ashland University in Ohio. His Cooler Gamer gets a little boost right there. Cooler Gamer 78. You think they were born in 1978? Or is this just a random number?
I'm going to go with that's probably random.
Yeah, as a college student, probably not.
These guys are out of the University of Tennessee, Knoxville. Will Guo, King W, and Cool Gamer. I believe he goes by Choose or Choice. We'll see. Maybe just Cool Gamer is what he wanted. Didn't want to be known as what his former gamer tag is. He just wants to be known as Cool here in these final games of the PlayVS. This is a grand finals, a culmination of a full season plus a heats or semifinals, playoffs, whatever you want to call it. And now it's all for the scholastic prizing here. Is we get to see those season play out. Hopefully you guys, if you didn't make the heats, if you didn't make grand finals here, you'll have another shot at it next season. And here's another trio we should be watching out for here, Fallout.
Absolutely. Exceed, Connor, Engage. We saw Exceed in the solos competition play very, very well. Was incredibly impressed by their gameplay. And the team we're just watching from UT Knoxville, representing the Volunteers. So we got the Battle of the Orange with Clemson and University of Tennessee Knoxville both in this one. Gage, Exceed, and co. Currently on board with them. Coming from Bay State College, which I believe is in the greater Boston area. I'll have to double check that, but they're currently finding themselves on a pretty simple rotation for them. You saw it was a southeast zone that it pulled to, and likely will continue to pull southeast. So teams that dropped over in Caddy Corner, Misty will have themselves a very, very fast rotation. Everyone else playing on the fast side. Dead side rotation obviously finds itself pretty tight because it's on the far side of the map, which means we'll see a lot of action on rotations, surely, as we already have 7 players eliminated from this lobby and more to go on these rotations to circle.
This is going to be one of the better teams as far as loot goes. You come out of Dirty Docks, and then you also get the upgrade, plus all those mechanical parts to give you whatever you want. You're walking out of there with any kind of weapon that you want. You could do some challenges or quests, get yourself some gold. As we see the purple AR and shotguns walking out by those players. Now we're checking in another team. Ideal Play, Gremlin, and Mick Complex up here, kind of punishing this team coming out of Cape Cod. That is a POI that I've not really seen many players or teams do well coming out of Cape Cod just because of rotates exactly like this.
you get punished with players with high ground quite often. It's kind of a choke. There's less than ideals. You see Deal Play and Co nearby, but Heights trying to find their rotate, trying to see if they can sneak their way out. Now you need to be careful, of course, from damage cross map. Players at this point are also going to be poking for Storm Surge and just trying to get damage. Just because they're doing that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to all in the fight. Especially because at this point in the game, it's third-party central, right? You don't want to take fights as the first Storm is collapsing into second or second into third. That's typically when you're going to see a lot of third-party opportunities because teams are all rotating towards circle, especially on the fast side of the circle. And in this situation, though, they might find themselves in a clean 3v3 because it's obviously more towards dead side, more towards the south side of the map near Misty, and you might have an opportunity to take a clean 3v3 without a third party here.
This is all kind of that posturing position here. Is that team up on the hill may not want these three to come up towards them. They want to hold this area, and you can force them away, but it actually looks like they're kind of just letting this happen.
Yep.
Looks like Coach DDT wanted to go a different direction. His teammates said, "No, we're going right at these guys," and everyone changing their opinions. Complex, he's a bow guy, misses the shot there, and we get to see how this is going to play out. It might just be one of these slow-paced fights. Neither team really getting in an engagement here, and that's typically what you see out of a first game. A nice slow engagement. Oh, as we see, Ideal Play knocks Coach DDT, so I'd have to assume that's a bow shot. Probably a bow headshot from some distance there.
The skill is coming through. We had some bow on bow action, but it was actually DDT that got taken out and going to get eliminated by Ideal Play. So good job. What happens, and that's why you gatekeep, my friends. You know, you obviously can get the eliminations on the rotation, and you don't have to worry about the team that's coming behind you as you're rotating. You always want to try and just address that team while you can, especially before the circle gets small and you have a ton of more risk for third party. Meanwhile, Lucky, who is an executable, by the way, in Windows, you can run it as an application to get Lucky. Currently losing one of their teammates in Stemps, and likely not sure if they'll be able to get the revive just yet as the pressure is continuing. This team wants static, but this is the part of the circle you got to be careful for. Look how many teams are nearby at the bottom right of your screen. We got a variety of we have another team nearby, and other teams that'll be coming on rotation.
So not only was there someone holding them from the spire, we see that's a great surge position people post up there, but we also have other trios coming in from the storm a little late here, as the LU trio is coming in late. Looks like they're down a player, so possibly gonna go and push this play if they want it. Might just take the storm surge tags that they got and walk on out of here. We still have 89 players remaining. We got a full zone. Once second zone closes and third appears, we're going to be dealing with Storm Surge, especially with the number of players in this lobby. And to explain it to you people who may have not played Fortnite before, or you do play Fortnite, but not necessarily at the competitive level, there's going to be certain stages in the game where the players with the least amount of damage dealt are going to take 25 damage ticks. So that is why you see everyone in these mid games taking AR tags. Starting in third zone is when Storm Surge will pop up. We'll see a warning for it. It'll tell you if you're above or below, how much damage you need to get above or below. And then once third zone appears, it will start to harm the players with the least amount of damage in the lobby. And it's based on the players alive. So if there's 71 or more players alive in third zone, it will take over. And then in fifth zone, it's 50 players. In seventh zone, it is 30 players. And that's going to be something we talk about a decent bit here on the broadcast, especially in these mid to early game. Boom, it's popping up right now on the right side of your screen above the minimap. So they're 125 above. That means they're in a good position, not going to take damage yet. But it's constantly changing based on the players in the lobby.
Brilliant explanation of Storm Surge. Couldn't have done better myself. Well done, and thank you, Somebody's Gun. For any of our new viewers, parents that are watching, or faculty from some of these schools, thank you so much for watching, supporting your students, your children, your friends from various schools. Appreciate y'all being here. Fallout alongside Somebody's Gun as we watch Smarty, Jock Crispy, who we saw last week, and Pinocchio find themselves in an engagement in a skirmish with the team nearby. 414 damage above Storm Surge threshold. They will be okay, at least for now, but it's going to be a pretty significant Storm Surge tag here, as we're going to have to lose quite a few players before that disappears. So, Marty and Co. Want to see if they can take this 3v3, but probably not the best decision. Again, so many teams nearby, all these teams rotating, finding their real estate, and making sure that they're in the next zone as well. I got to think, right on this high ground, where this is a pretty good position to be one of the better high ground positions, especially if the late game circle ends up actually coming here.
This is a great zone as far as information goes, because you can see all the way across that river, and most of the players are going to be coming from that north side where the river is. Looks like someone was going for a ramp there. Smarty's able to deter that. So no plays being made right now. They're still going to own and hold this height position, own this hill. But we can see, just based on the number of different colored arrows on that mini-map, there's multiple trios right in this area. Everyone wants a piece of that position. Oh my. Lazy Lake is a hot spot, and everyone is here trying to rotate through. The zone is forcing them in, and these poor guys are just barely going to make it in if they do here, as zone is going to hurt them, as well as Storm Surge and other players are going to start with that AR damage.
That's right, we got Vanish Chang, we saw on screen, Georgia Tech University, great engineering school, incredibly smart individuals that are on that squad. To get into Georgia Tech, kudos to them. We're now on board with King W, Wilguo, and Cooler Gamer 78, as they still find themselves alive over Misty Meadows. But just as crazy as Loot Lake is, we have a crazy Misty Meadow, or sorry, Lazy Lake. We have a crazy Misty Meadows as well. Quite a few teams nearby, all having to rotate. And the team that we just saw, who had that high ground, had that advantageous position, actually comes to fruition, making me look smart here, as they have a clear advantage and could just get long-range tags. That's what's going to happen. Pinocchio gets one.
Yeah, looks like they were able to take down Coach DDT, who we saw earlier was able, or actually knocked, so he was coming back into the match, maybe by reboot, maybe just by a quick res. Now we see the fights happening here, and this is what Storm Surge is going to cause you to do. You got to make plays that you would not necessarily be making had there not be Storm Surge. So Lasix only 8 above. That's not going to hold with the number of players that still need to go down. That's why he's playing so aggressive here, trying to get in these boxes and looking for shots, whether it be that AR or the shotgun. He needs to find something because he's down again once more and is trying to get in. His teammates are going as well. This is a full-fledged 3-angled attack, and uh-oh, this is not looking good for the boys.
That's right. One more tag would actually knock one. Stinky gets knocked. Doinks and Berkey having to revive, but they are above the damage threshold. They'll be okay with 120 above. Fluger is going to get taken out by Storm Surge. Control as well. That's what Storm Surge does. Gets us down 70 players here. Cut gets a pick on Harsh. And here we go, on board of Sirius right now. This team was able to survive, but barely by getting the damage that they needed. Junie was one tag away from getting taken out. They get the damage that's needed. They survive for now.
And now they got to worry about the storm. Everyone's going to be positioning that hill that we just saw earlier in the game. That is going to be the edge and where everyone needs to get into. The mats, not looking great for this trio. They're going to have to find their way in through the way of some old builds. Unfortunately for them, there's quite a few players looking to do the same thing at this current moment. And with no heals, that team is as good as gone. We see Beggs picking up one, M-Core getting a knock as well, and Berkey, Edge of Storm, looking for a potential elimination on some players following his path. He is now just going to box up. Don't know where Doinks is at. Oh, he's right next to him. All right, we're together, we're together. And now we're ready. We're ready to play this game. We've gotten in. May not be the healthiest, but at least we're alive, and that's all that matters as of right now.
Yeah, not healthy at all. No shields to their name whatsoever. One med kit. And they're in circle, and surprised we haven't seen that med kit transfer over teammates, but finally, here we go. Sirius, Lasix, and Junie. Two of them go down. Sirius last up, and Sirius is just going to try and farm placement here, I think is the move. Maybe try and get a pick on rotation, get that extra 5 elimination points. We'll see if that comes to fruition here. But surviving on just bandages, that's the shambles that they've been in. It has been a rough game and a rough outing, game number 1. But good job to Sirius, Junie, and Lasix for surviving as long as they did. We're going to see if they can break into more placement points. Is a very placement-heavy format, so that certainly helps. And right in front of them, we have the squad that I have as my favorites to win this tournament. University of Maryland's very own 7 R's and Co. I'm excited to see what they can do in this tournament. We did see a pretty solid performance from them in the solos, but you know, with, of course, the addition of Beggs on that team representing UMD, we'll see what they can do here.
Have to think they're probably the heavy favorite as far as their previous performance in PlayVS. They've done really well in these tournaments. So we'll have to see if they're able to execute once again today. Now Doinks and Berkey have a nice little rotate here. These are one of the tougher zones to play. We'll see huge pileups on the north side and south side of players, and then just a dead zone in the middle. And it really is going to play 50-50 into who gets this zone. Honestly, the zones that wind up right in the middle near the water are the most interesting, because whatever side it goes on, it's going to be really tough to make that rotate for either team or any team on the opposite side. As we check in here with Connor, Exceed, and Gage, looking for some pressure on some teams on the outside here.
That's right. You need a pretty hefty investment in Matt to make it over. Stinkfish going to come through and not going to connect for any damage, though. It's Hinsey. Hinsey alongside T. Jones and Snowy. Pretty healthy right now in the grand scheme of things. Also getting some extra damage below the damage threshold, though, so that's why you see Hinsey just desperately using those Stinkfish to try and get some damage, try and get some ticks. If he could have found 2 or 3 people in one box, that would have been huge. But now just barely above that damage threshold, and they still have some ways to go. We're going to see Hinsey, Snowy, and T. Jones have to force a fight here momentarily, I think, unless they can get some more damage across.
12 more players need to go down. They're just barely above. It'll probably bounce back and forth, and we get to see how this lobby's playing out. We got 3 separate towers on this south side, probably 1 huge tower on the north side. So everyone's building their real estate, building those skyscrapers, as Wilgo's team is up on the high ground on the south side. Zone's gonna pull towards the southeast. So one of the towers is safely in zone in a great spot, as we see some Storm Surge plays going on right here. Connor's trying to get in. He's punishing with that tac shotgun. And now his team is going to fully jump on this trio, as they know they're weak. Have taken down at least one. I think they went down earlier to Surge, or just were sitting on some loot. And these guys scoop it all up and walk on back to their base.
Big. The other team we said to keep an eye out for, representing Liberty University in Virginia, I believe. Close eye on them. Exceed, Gage, Connor. A good spot. 118 damage above the threshold, which should be enough, I think, as we get down to that 50 threshold mark. Top left of your screen, 50 players left in the lobby. Will mean goodbye Storm Surge. Now, especially put some extra tags in, 165 above, make it 180. Yeah, they're in a good spot. Meanwhile, Capitor, EP, and Toastiest Waffles from University of Central Florida. I like UCF, but I like my waffles a little bit more on the soggy side, so I'm torn here. Somebody's got, I don't know if I should root for them.
You just gotta leave the syrup on there for a little longer. That you can get them toasty at first, and then they'll get soggy over time, soak in all that sweet sugar. I don't know if you're a sweets fan, but
oh yeah, for sure.
definitely
That's a good idea.
those waffles and syrup.
Maybe my next gamer tag will be Soggiest Waffles, and we'll be rivals.
What's a UCF rival? Maybe UF or?
Yeah, exactly. UF, USF. One of them, yeah, exactly. I'll go to that school as well, just to kind of complete the picture. As we see a couple people get taken out the top left of your screen, it's going to be Posic actually taken out. Cut. We didn't even realize Posic was actually in this game. And Posic, our winner from the solos competition in NA East last week, got a chance to cast that alongside Reese. And Posic absolutely dominated our last 2 or 3 games. Excited to see him back in action here.
His team going to be looking good. As far as the game knowledge, the skill, you got Posic on your team. That's a nice piece to any trio, as well as the other members on his team. We see Zone's going to pull. We're going back west, so this is going to go through a lot of old builds. These zones are sometimes tough to navigate through when you're going through so many old builds, trying to find a space that is not already claimed. And Connor and Co is going to be on the backside, but they're doing a bully technique. They're making someone else tarp for them in zone, just getting in the backside of somebody's tarp and punishing them. Free tarp, free rotate, thank you guys, we'll take that. And now they take the lead after a couple of elims there.
Huge plays coming through from Connor, Exceed, and Gage. Some great tarping coming through as well from Connors. We have 44 players left, 17 squads remaining. And take a look at high ground. It's going to be Meepy, the University of California, University of Central Florida crew. Meepy, Capilor, and Toasties Waffles with high ground. Capilor's actually going to drop and say, hey, I'll do some work over here. We're all going to drop a little bit further low. And they just want to find an opportunity to get a couple eliminations here. They want to get closer to the action. Each elim obviously worth 5 points. That's crucial. Meepy and actually, as I say that, they're going to find one. Hush, Posic's teammate, going to find one as well. Stemp's going to get taken out in the elimination feed, and right now it is their game. University of Central Florida team, their game to lose.
And they're up there on the high ground. I like to liken high ground to a machine. You gotta feed it, you gotta fuel it. If you get behind on your maintenance, it also goes down. So you have to stay ahead, keep yourself on the front of the tarp, fuel it with materials, with AR ammo, and then punish anyone on the second highest position or trying to make a play. And we see them doing this very, very well here. They're continuing to put down pressure on trios, Hush, Extendo, and Posick all there on the second highest level, typically looking to make a play. That is why you play the second height position. As this zone begins to close, we have Connor there down playing the low ground. This is Connor's swan song. Could be the last Fortnite competitive event Connor is playing, so it'll be interesting to see how he finishes here. You got to be rooting for him.
Yeah, that's right. And as you say that, perfect machine analogy, they stop feeding the machine, and guess what? Posick, the team right below them, actually was able to drop the high ground from underneath their feet. Here we go. Connor, Exceed, Engage on board with right now. We still have Meepy doing work near that high ground. ZD Boomer, we saw the ZD crew last week do well. They're going to find themselves a couple of limbs on the low ground over Pinocchio, who we saw earlier, still alive because that favorable early game position that they have. Boomer's going to get yet another one. Actually, it's going to be Tostius Waffles knocking Stendo, and the pressure from above. It's going to give Boomer a little bit of a refresh here. On board again with Connor. 3 eliminations to Connor's name. Alongside Gage, also with 3, Exceed with 1. Meepy does go down to Hush, though. So the team that was on secondary high ground actually takes the high ground from Meepy and the UCF team. I believe we do have Hush and Posick on high ground now. Not sure if that's 100% confirmed, but leave it to Posick and co to actually take that high ground from them.
Battling back and forth there for the height position while these low ground and mid ground teams clean everything up. It looks like Tostius Waffles and Capelor have taken high ground once again. They actually had a gas can, which is very rare to have this late in game. They're going over some older builds, going to be able to stay here, but Posick and Hush looked to want to take this high ground position, quickly decide, we're probably not in the spot. Hush is getting tagged up big. Posick is dropped down. Hush goes down, and now this is all chaos on the low ground. Posick is up alive, but Capelor and Tostius Waffles looking to close this out, take game 1, and take a big lead to start off the day.
Yeah, it looks like they should be able to do that, but they have a team of 3 in front of them, so it's a 2 versus 3. High ground is the 2, and low ground is the 3. So high ground's slight advantage might neutralize this fight a little bit, but it'll surely be interesting. Capelor on high ground right now. Here comes the drop, not able to get tags. And look at the team firing, the pressure, the damage for 100, and the shotgun's going to come through. Toasty with a great flank opportunity, but doesn't necessarily do all the work, leaving his teammate a 1 versus 1, and Capelor connects for the shot. A 2v3 in game number 1 to kick things off. And the University of Central Florida does it. Go Knights.
Wow. An 11 elimination, game 1 with the victory royale. They battled for that high ground for 3-4 zones, able to manage and take it back eventually and close it out. Clutch a nice little 2v3. What a play there, but Connor, Exceed, and Gage. That's a solid second place performance.
Right. See it on the replays here. Hopefully we'll have a chance to watch that back, as oh man, that was a blast to watch in that late game. Intense. Shout out to Tostius Waffles, my nemesis as a Soggy Waffle fan, for getting the 2K, which set Capelor up for the 1v1. And here it is. Toasty with the flank gets 2. Capelor, last shot, needs to clutch up. Ice in his veins on the drop shot right there over Connor. And just like that, UCF ends up on top. Like you said, high limb game as well. That's pretty massive for them as they now find themselves in a pretty good opportunity, I think.
Yeah, definitely going to be looking good going into game 2. And the nerves obviously weren't there. Loosen, get ready. We got more action after a quick break here, but we'll be right back.
First game is done, and we got 5 more to go for the PlayVS Spring 21 Collegiate Championship featuring Fortnite. PlayVS, of course, supporting the collegiate Fortnite scene for quite some time. And guess what? We have standings ready. After game number 1, no surprise as to who's going to be on top here, most likely in first place. And yes, it's the University of Central Florida crew, Capilor, Toastiest Waffles, and Meat round out first place with Connor, Exceed, and Gage right behind them, only 3 points behind. That means they must have picked up quite a few elims. So kudos to Connor and his kind of victory lap here of his potential last tournament. Swim Coach Monkey we saw in solos alongside Bakami and Joskilla in third. And then, of course, the winner of your NA East PlayVS tournament last week, Pozic, alongside Hush and Stendo in fourth. Walk me through the rest, SMG.
So we got the ZD crew in Boomer and Zas, then Omar will go. Cool Gamer, King W there in 6, Ideal Play, McComplex, Gremlin, 7th, Dr. Duke, Mika, and Riv in 8th, Pinocchio, Ja Crispy, Smart in 9th, and then Ranster, Parkour, and the Twin in 10th. Those guys round out our top 10. Here we can see the guys who had a alright game, not your best game 1, and there's a trio that somewhat surprising that they did not perform well, but that's Fortnite. You're not always going to have a massive game, so poor game 1. Ready, coming back at you here for game 2, and I'm sure these guys switching up the plan, talked about it, and we'll realize, okay, we did this, now it's time, switch it up, gotta fix that, and put ourselves in a better position in game 2.
Absolutely, because you hit the nail on the head. You're not always going to have a great game in Fortnite. Obviously, some games might just not go your way, but what's important is how you react, how you bounce back from that game, how you adapt, how you take a look and say, hey, what did we do wrong? What could we have done a little bit better there? And make those adjustments going into games 2 through 6. And there's actually 2 teams there. Mars at 7 and Beggs, of course, alongside Jenkins' team coming out of the University of Houston, a team that certainly you'd expect to be in that top 10 threshold, but again, a lot of Fortnite to be played. I'm excited to see what they can do here going into game number 2. Any other teams in particular really stand out to you? I saw Ideal Play. I can't remember. Was Ideal Play the team that got knocked, or that was gatekeeping early on, as we saw near Cape Cod?
They were the gatekeeping team. They were the one up on that hill that were able to take down Coach DDT.
That's what it was. Yep.
Had a pretty solid game 1. We'll see how they do in game 2. Consistency is the key. I feel like every Fortnite tournament we talk about consistency, and it's not just one game that'll win you tournaments. It's going to be the entirety of 6 and how you can continue to play out. So we'll see how it goes here, Fallout.
That's correct. Who will stay consistent? That is the question. We did see a Southeast zone last game that we'll now see where the zone will pull here in game number 2. And, if it's Northwest, for example, kind of polar opposite, it's interesting to see who will be consistent, because obviously it's tough to be consistent. We don't necessarily have the zone pull your way, right? So we're jumping on board here with ZD, Zaz, and T-Jones. T-Jones looks to be looting uncontested. Meanwhile, the Complex over in Holly Hedges will be playing against ZD, Zaz, and co. That might be a 3v3 fight that is contested. I'm interested to see who comes out on top.
We'll have to see how this all plays out. Looks like Boney Burbs is contesting once again. Lazy Lake is free, so someone who was landing there decided to go out. Didn't want to continue that fight. And now we get to check out what is going on at Holly, which is also contested. Checking in with Omar, Zas, and Boomer here.
Me, Travis Scott. We're watching the real Travis Scott right now. Every time I see this kid, I gotta say it. Gotta give love to Travis Scott. As we see Zaz, Omar, and Boomer currently on top of one of the houses here in Holly Hedges, looking for the other squad, which they have actually directly across from them. It's Gremlin, Ideal Play, and McComplex, who we saw earlier. Must have really, really early rotated that squad last time to the north side of the map, unless they dropped somewhere different, which I don't think they did. So, as I say that, Twin's going to go down to Eagle, top left of your screen, but we're not going to see a whole lot of activity here. A lot of teams that are not contesting, and a pretty well-distributed map. I said last game, sometimes it takes a game, maybe 2 games for things to kind of get conditioned or neutralized a little bit. It looks like it's happened. Team said, okay, yeah, we were contested last game going here. Not worth it. Let's switch the drop spot up. As a result of that, I think we're going to have a really slow start here. As I say that, the Clemson squad find themselves in yet another fight, and Jake's going to go down again as is Clemson. Jake, Kept Daddy, and Rocket Man, 2 games in a row potentially getting taken out.
Oh boy, that's not what you want to see there. It looks like they landed on the outskirts here of Boney. I didn't see anyone contest right off the bat here at Boney Burbs. But quickly coming in, taking the fight, and we see they want to dominate this position. Kep Daddy has the high ground, but that doesn't necessarily mean too much if he can't hold it. Rocket Man's trying to come in and support on the way over. His teammates. Ooh, it looks like he goes down. So now at 3v1, what's Rocket Man going to be able to do? Is Dr. Duke looking to make plays? He only has that primal shotgun. Not the best gun in the game. I know it is gold, but really not what you're looking for if you're a player. As Kep Daddy just boxed in right here. No mats looks like on either players. Who hits your shots? That's going to be Riv hitting them. He takes down that player. And now it is all but over as Rocket Man goes down again.
2 games in a row that Micah, Dr. Duke, and Big Riv take out the squad from Clemson. I don't think there's any better way to claim a territory, claim an area, and say, don't you dare fight us again, than winning 2 times in a row decisively from Micah, Big Riv, and Dr. Duke. Kudos to them. Impressed with what I'm seeing so far out of that crew. As we now switch over, jump aboard with Stinky, Doinks, and Berkey. They find themselves getting a pick. And just like that, we've actually seen some action. Down to 87 players. A little bit active here.
Yeah, this is a nice spot, especially with that little buff this week. You know, it's Fish Week. We saw last week was Flame Week. Now this week we're going into the fishing. These guys taking full priority of the fish over here. And another trio is over here at the Shark and the Lighthouse. Seb needs to be careful because he's all by himself. If he is caught out lacking, this trio can jump on him, but these guys are actually kind of far away, and it looks like they're going to disengage. And now we have a fight once again here. Ideal play, Gremlin, gone out of Holly Hedges, but have ran right into another team.
That's right. They've liked some of these early game fights. It's worked out well for them. We'll see if they take this one. I think they find themselves in a 3v2 as well, so they do have a numbers advantage, I believe, for Tabachi and co. Right nearby. Gremlin on top. Waiting for his teammates to get there as well, and here we go. Expect them to force a fight from 2 different fronts with a little pincer strategy here. And to push this, if they do have that 3v2 numbers advantage, this is the wise decision, undoubtedly, and I think that they do. So, we'll see if the squad that they're playing against can clutch up in a 2v3. Obviously going to be tough to do against this squad who's been pretty red hot. Off to a good start, though. Nice little tag on the complex.
And the complex and co are the ones coming to third party this. I don't even know that they're all going to have full loadouts here. I would assume whatever team was here at first is going to have a better loot than the other trio, and looks like Ideal Play is on his way out. They walked in, they wanted the fight, and someone called for the disengage. These guys are getting out of here quick, running on out and moving through. Need to be careful. Watch your back as you're getting out. Otherwise, teams are going to take shots at you, and we see the loadout. Everything about this trio screams to me this is not good, as they're full disengaging from the fight, able to get a drop, put themselves in a slightly better position, but by no means in a good one.
Yeah, I wonder why they backed out of that. Maybe they got the intel that the third player of that team was actually rotating and flanking, but it looked like whoever that was actually playing really quiet, really sneaky, playing that really wise, but unless they said, hey, we can get a supply crate, we can actually just play for late game. Not worth it to risk our lives here. Let's play for late, given this format, especially. Probably a wise decision.
I'm always a fan of the disengage. If you're getting damage, you don't necessarily need to get the eliminations. You're putting yourself in a much better spot than a lot of teams are as far as Storm Surge. We see it's going to be yet again another stacked game, still 87 up. Checking out what's going on in the lobby. We got a couple of fights happening in the middle of the map. Nothing really going on towards the edges. We got pretty central of a zone, so this will be nice. And we see just to the east of Weeping Woods, there's that llama and those mountains over there. Those are going to be big priority positions.
Right. Board with Micah. Ashland University. Big River goes down. We got Micah and Dr. Duke, last 2 alive and off to a good start. Not necessarily, hasn't necessarily continued here. It's not the best fortune's going to come their way. Duke's going to get taken out. It's going to be all up to Micah, last alive. Question is here for Micah. Do you just try to farm placement, rat this out? And that's likely what's going to happen here from Micah. Unfortunate, lose their 2 teammates.
Yeah, the tough thing is, though, playing this out as a solo, it might seem like a good idea, but once you get into those later games, these players are way too smart. They'll see you all by yourself and then just punish you for being a solo. A good trio will find you and take you out quickly. If they find you all alone, whether you're just kind of wandering away from your trio or you are in a full disadvantage as a solo. And we see our top two teams coming in this mid game here, head to head. Not really going to be an engagement, just going to say hello to one another and walk on past. But these guys in first and second currently.
Yeah, hello, how's your day going? Hope you're doing well. Just say, how's the first place spot? Enjoy it while it lasts. Just some casual conversations between 1 and 2 right there as Gage and Co. drive right through. Jock, Christie, and Pinocchio and Co. We saw them with a really, really good start. I believe in the University of Delaware, if I remember that correctly. They're nearby as well. And this is the point of the game where things kind of slow down at least a bit and for a bit until Storm Surge hits, right? Storm Surge is going to require and force a fight down to 70 players left. But until then, expect teams to kind of find their real estate, post up, and make sure, hey, if I haven't got my tags in yet, put themselves in an advantageous spot to be able to get some tags. If they have, then they're definitely just chilling.
They are straight chilling, and these are the mountains that I'm talking about, right in the center here of this zone. There's about 5 mountains that you can claim. I'm assuming next 30, 45 seconds there'll be a team on each and every one of them. And whatever position you have, that is going to be wonderful for this end game. It gives you so many opportunities for tags. It gives you a potential high ground position going into the end game. And depending on where zone pulls, you might not even have to move, spend any materials while punishing players trying to make those same rotates that you would have to, as we see Strap, Chang, and Badgeman on the rotate into zone here. Going to take a peek at what's going on here at Lazy Lake. Looks like these guys either go retail or split over that way based on where they're coming from here.
And the Georgia Tech squad making their way through to Lazy Lake. No one nearby, and I wonder who dropped Lazy Lake originally. I'd be curious to see which team that was, because they must have left with a pretty penny in terms of loot, having Lazy Lake uncontested. One of the best loot in the game there if you can get it yourself. Meanwhile, Badge fully materialed in terms of brick. Just going to try and get max mats elsewhere. They're going to farm up here as much as possible. Find themselves in a pretty decent spot for a late game. Pretty far rotation they still have to make, but they got time, obviously. And that rotation, of course, is center circle. If they decide to play center circle or decide to play edge, we shall see. As we now jump forward to the number 2 team, Connor and Co. Right below Fluger, Alfie, and others.
Connor making his way on past. You don't want to be stuck here. You can easily get stuck at the bottom of these. The Bay State College team rotating on past. And we see the zone's going to pull a little further down to the south. So these mountains, these hills aren't necessarily going to be the best. They're going to be good for Surge here in the mid game, but not going to win you the game unless you get really lucky here. And it's looking like Connor knows that. He wants to get past this area, doesn't want to get caught in this chaos as all these other trios might get stuck when the zones wind up pulling. But look at the loadouts are going to be great from these guys today. If they're consistently uncontested at Dirty Docks, you can't ask for a better loot or a better loadout game in, game out.
Yeah, it's huge. That's another one of those areas. I've just been surprised that no contention over in Dirty Docks, none in Lazy Lake. A few areas that are crucial are going to be given to some of these top teams for free. That's huge. And expect them to use that to their advantage. To continue with the consistency, I think you can expect Connor and Co. continue to show up well. One team that did not necessarily show up big in Game 1 was the team we expected to. Mars, 7, and Beggs from the University of Maryland, UMD. Terps on screen for a moment there as we got Sway, Xro, and OTP. 124 damage above the threshold, which might not be enough necessarily, as they, of course, will break their way down. 70 players left. Might have to end up start making some plays here as Pinocchio goes down.
Yes, this Butler team here is going to be looking to consistently put up the damage. Now we go back over to one of our favorites for the day. Beggs, Mars, and 7. These guys taking over this building position here. 64 damage above. That'll just keep going down unless players are getting damage. We see 14 players need to go back to the lobby before we wind up having this Storm Surge go away. This is a more slow style of game than we would typically see in trios. I feel like trios is a little more aggressive than what you'll see sometimes in solos. But these players obviously know what's at stake. Everyone's playing patiently. It'll probably pick up the pace as more and more players have to deal with some Storm Surge damage throughout the day. And it looks like that is what is going on right now. A team is trying to jump on Mars, Beggs, and Seven because this is a Storm Surge fight. It's being forced by that issue. And now it is going to take effect as Beggs actually goes below right now.
Yep, there you go. Both teams actually need this fight, most likely. So here we go. Chenkin's actually going to go down on your screen as well. Keep a close eye on that. It's one of our favorites. World Cup qualifier. The only one playing in this tournament. Obviously a tremendous feat in its own right. Kudos to Chenkins, now attending University of Houston down in Texas. As barely, well, that Storm Surge was Mars and Co. Meanwhile, well below, 18 below now, is going to be Koenig, Crazy, and Royal Pain who are forcing this fight quite a bit. And you'll see so many people start to get taken out in the Elim feed there at the top left, because the Storm Surge is really forcing people's hands. Crazy getting the shots. Not enough necessarily still. 19 below. Tagged up so much. And yeah, you can heal up. It's not going to do too much for you. The Storm Surge will keep on ticking. They finally get above just barely. As Koenig gets a nice pick. At least a couple shots in. And they survive for now with 70 above. 3 players left until we hit that 70 threshold.
And it does look like Chenkins is fully taken out here by Coach DDT. So he is at least out of the lobby. Haven't seen his trio get eliminated unless that happened earlier in the game. Crazy looking to make this rotate over the campfire right now. And take a look at Storm. We're playing a Misty Meadow game once again over the Misty Lake. And now we're below. Meepy, Capalor able to pick up some eliminations. So our game 1 winners are already picking up some more elims here in game 2. Beggs able to survive that. Honestly looking really good with this loadout. When you get into a Storm Surge fight, it's not always the best, whether or not you're the one team in the good position or the bad, because desperate teams call for desperate measures, and it's not always easily defensed.
That's right. In general, it's always tough to be on your back foot in Fortnite. It always seems like if you're the one aggressing, trying to dive into someone's box, playing with aggression, you're going to have the slight advantage, whereas if you're on your back foot, it's a little bit tough to play, but of course it's not always the case.
Yeah, I liken it to a football wide receiver versus defensive back kind of measure.
Love it.
So, the D-back, they're reacting to everything that's going on, whereas the wide receiver gets to make the first move. So the wide receiver would be the aggressor in this situation, where the defensive back is the defensive player. Not always the best comparison, but I think in analogy, fights it works pretty well.
Yeah, that's a great analogy. Yep. And the receiver has a slight advantage. Obviously can make the big play, but the DB can get an interception, can go huge as well, or completely shut down a wide receiver. So brilliant analogy in my eyes. I like that. As we especially we've been talking about Big Ten, some of these schools, University of Tennessee, Clemson. Football is obviously an important topic for a lot of these schools, as we're now watching as things are starting to dwindle down below 70 players here. Is where we're at. Storm Surge finally going at ease, at least for some time here, but again, they'll come back into effect most likely here as we get towards this late game. Junie, Goofy, both getting picks on Shift and Co. And look at this rotation they're going to have to make. Again, another storm that's going to end nearby or on a body of water, which is going to make these rotations tough for some of these teams that are not on that middle island yet.
So many teams already on that middle island. This is more than you normally expect. Yeah. Position themselves in the middle. As we see what Mick Complex is trying to look at, he's seeing that big body of open water and then just a mass of trios right in front of him. There's also that mass of trios up to the north, so could be good for him. If you time this rotate right, wait until someone starts looking in a different direction, you might be okay. As we see, one team is going to make that rotate. This is probably the point where you want to follow that. And look who is up in a wonderful position on the high ground. Our Bay State College team, Gage, Exceed, and Connor.
Continuing to position themselves so incredibly well. I've been very, very impressed by this squad. A-State representing well. A-State College, and I was right earlier, Back Bay neighborhood of Boston, Massachusetts. As recently as announced that Tom Brady will be returning to New England. Buccaneers versus the Patriots, I think week 4. As anyone from New England watching right now obviously will either be looking forward to or not looking forward to that matchup. But right now we'll see if Bay State can represent New England well, much like the Patriots Tom Brady did for the better half of the last 25 years.
I think you just made some friends and some enemies with that statement. You talk about the Patriots and Brady, and then that brings you one way or the other.
Although, you know, don't be sad that it's ending. Be happy that it happened. You know, as a Bears fan, especially, got some good years. Meanwhile, we're watching as last match here. You see Capital Meepy and Toasty Waffles won the game. I haven't seen them in quite some time. I'm trying to look at the overhead camera and see if they're still alive. Not sure if they are. Have you had a chance to see them in the Elim feed?
I saw them. Meekby and Capital picked up some Elims, I want to say at the end of Zone 3, so it's been a couple minutes since I've seen them. Don't know if they're able to make this rotate. McComplex, not in the best of positions, still has to make the rotate. He's sacrificed his teammates to try and stay alive in this zone. Fluger picking up a knock there on Bokami, who is one of the players in 3rd place. So that trio still alive. At least 2 of them are still up right now, and McComplex gonna face the wrath of the lobby here. Is this late rotate? He's gonna pay for it. Everyone sees this, and it's just a matter of time and how many mats he has. Unless, oh no, it's all over.
Poor McComplex, doing literally everything he can, and just getting focused by the entire lobby, which happens when you get chosen. Instead of last time you were the chosen one, but this time, as you pointed out last time we chatted, not a good thing to be the chosen one in this scenario. You're chosen to be the one that's focused. The Storm Surge is back into effect here. You saw it affecting Creator and Co. nearby. We got Zaz, Omar, and Boomer still alive and doing pretty well. Coming all the way from Holly Hedges. They're able to make the rotation through. And the team that they were playing with just got taken out. So both teams from Holly Hedges actually made it through. Jock Crispy and Smarty lost their teammate earlier, I believe. So it's going to be just the 2 of them from Delaware. We got Fluger and Alfie still alive. And here we go. A couple of Elims we picked up as well. Storm Surge no longer in effect and is at bay now with 48 players remaining.
I believe I saw Meepy get knocked. I don't know if the full Elim came through. So that team not as good of a position as they were last game. We'll have to see. You know, sometimes you just get knocked, it only makes you stronger. And now we're checking out some other trios peeking around. Wayward, middling with 44 points. Thus far, trying to make this rotate. They need to have a solid match here if they want to shoot up the leaderboards. And in a decent position if they can get into zone, but some teams forcing pressure onto him and from the backside. So OTP and Swayward need to make a play here with X-Row going down already. And it doesn't look like this team's going to give them a breath as OTP goes down. And now it's all up to Swayward.
Swayward is running with their tail between their legs, trying to survive. Finds a refresh. Not the Siphon refresh they would have wanted, but at least some materials are not going to last long. Finally, the team hunts them down, and he gets taken out. Meanwhile, Posick on high ground. Again, our 4th place team and our winner from NA East, Posick, with his 2 teammates now in Stendo and Co. on the high ground with an opportunity to close this game out and narrow that gap, potentially take a 1st place finish. But of course, Connor and Co. are going to try and say something else about it. Harsh is going to get an opportunity here. Last alive for his team has to go huge.
And he needs to find a way to get through. He's buried in this zone. That's going to be really difficult to make it out. He's not going to. And he goes down to Storm, getting buried as we go up this elevation. Posick in a wonderful position here as he's going to just be chilling up on high ground. Everyone has to make it through all those old builds up the hill. And the elevation is playing to Posick, Push, and Stendo's favor. Now it's the hindrance to everyone else in the lobby as they're climbing, spending all those precious materials, and we'll have to see if they can make these rotates and how quickly this game goes down. But it looks like we might have a contest here on height as we'll go King and W try and get on this high ground play, but quickly are deterred and push back into the 2nd mid-ground position.
Yeah, like, don't you dare try and take our high ground. But they're using quite a bit of mats on high ground here. Both players were carping their way through and had to use quite a bit of mats to hold that high ground. I wonder how many mats they have to maintain high ground. That is the question. But for now, they should be just chilling, as every team on low ground will be fighting. And they'll just be watching from a top opportunity to get a few Elims as well for them. Either way, if they win this game, that should put them first. Unless, not sure if we still have our 2nd place team. Yes, we do. Connor and Beggs still, or 7 and Beggs still alive. Connor still alive as well, alongside Gage and Exceed. So our 2nd place team alive, our 4th place team alive, as you'd expect, consistent coming through from these top teams.
Looks like we had another contest up there on height, and then we have the chaos that's going on in this mid ground. So many players right in this small area. Connor is just navigating that beautifully as we're going back through old builds. Beg's still alive as well. Posick and Co have taken down that entire contest. That trio is gone. They're going back to the lobby as Hush and Stendo trade over some heals, some mats, and now we're just up on the height waiting for this game to end. They don't have the AR ammo to close it out themselves and have to hope that an opportunity opens for them to get the elimination. Now we tune back in to what's going on here in the mid ground. Connor just slaying out with this trio. Exceed already 3 eliminations, and they're looking to put pressure on everyone as the materials have ran low. Now it's time to start jumping in as a player is in their sights, and that's 7 who goes down.
Yeah, Beg 7 and Mars out of this one. Again, it's going to be the hands of Gage. Another game in a row where they are popping off in the elim category. Will they drop another 10 plus? That is unlikely, but possible here for Connor, Gage, and Exceed on low ground. Meanwhile, ZD Boomer going to get taken out from Crater, and we still, of course, have Posick and Hush on the high ground. As I say that, Hush actually going to knock Connor. Some great pressure from Hush. Gets the refresh as well. And Hush had high grounds, actually still just running from high ground to low ground to finish the elims, going back on the high ground. They just have complete control right now. Look at the elims as well. They got 8.
And he just dropped 350 AR ammo, so that's the supply. That's the fuel that they need for this high ground play to end it all without having to drop down and making plays. We're in a top 4 scenario, so lots of placement points coming through for all these trios. Exceed and Gage jumping in, picking up the elims. Ooh. Thank you for those. We'll take that. Now we're down to our top 3. Gage trying to make a play in the storm here. That is a misplay, and it looks like they're going to wind up going down as they get focused by the high ground, able to hide under some builds and stay alive. Now we'll have to see if they can make it through. He's buried. There's so much in the way. We'll go Gage and our high ground team of Posick, Stendo, and Co. Oh, the 203, the max pump. Oh, but he goes down.
Massive plays from Gage, going out with an absolute statement. Meanwhile, going to jump over to Stendo. Stendo finds one brilliant stuff. King's going to get taken out. And there you have it. With ease, Stendo, Posick, and Hush will win game number 2. You talked about consistency to start that game, somebody's gun, and we ended off with some consistency. Our number 4 team from game 1 also performs in game 2. They show consistency throughout, much like Posick did in the NA East Finals. They end up on top.
That was a beautiful high ground play too. They ran out of AR ammo, and a lot of times teams start to panic. They're like, oh, we got to go make a desperation play, but no, relax. Let's stay on height. Let's go ahead, get ourselves the AR ammo when it comes, and able to take the victory royale. Everyone else does the work on the low ground, or they're just chilling up on high. That's what tends to happen here.
Right. Posick, Hush, Stendo, 5 elims at this point, and then they just started racking them up. I'm interested to see how many they ended up with because I didn't actually see it. But taking out Connor's team, the big team to shut down our second place team. And then, of course, it was just a matter of time when they rounded that one out. At this point, they had 9 elims, make it 10, and they ended up with 11 eliminations in a first place finish, plus their 4th place standings overall. Puts them in a fairly good spot here. One team that we haven't necessarily seen do big things is Mars and 7 and Beggs. I'm excited to see if they can bounce back in game number 3 over the next 4 games, because guess what? We're going to jump to a quick break. When we come back, games 3 through 6 will be right after this. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, everybody, to the PlayVS Spring 21 Collegiate Championship featuring Fortnite. We are in the Trios Finals. We, of course, had to go through our heats. We've gone through 2 games, and here we are as a result of all of that. After 2 games, standings are ready, and we have Connor, Exceed, and Gage in first place. We thought Posick and Co. would actually leapfrog them, but again, an incredibly tight game here as Posick, Hush, and Stendo are just 1 point behind first. Wilgwo, Cooler Gamer, and King in third, and actually dropping all the way down to 7th. Quite surprising. Not the best game number 2 from our UCF crew with Caplor, Toastius, Waffles, and Meepy. Somebody's gone.
Had to go down quite early for that to happen. We see Mars, 7, and Beggs able to make their way up the leaderboard. Pinocchio, Jack Crispy, Smarty there in 9th, staying pretty consistent as they're averaging 9.5, so let's call it 10. And then we check out the 11 through 20 here. We see Jenkins, Siphon, and Eagle round out the top 20. We got Alfie, Fluger, and Mecha in 19th, as well as some other trios we've seen have solid games, but it's all about game after game. What can you do? And we're seeing Posick, Enco, as well as Gage, Connor, and Exceed have a solid performance back to back, and that's why they're up top right now.
Exactly what you'd expect here of those players. Posick, of course, trying to hold on to that back-to-back championship, proving that he's the best player in collegiate Fortnite, and kind of hard to say against that. Wins NA East, does it in a dramatic fashion, the way that he won the NA East Solos competition last week, and so far has been playing very consistent, but you got to put some respect on Exceed, Gage, and Connor. They've been looking great here so far in the first 2 games. Very consistent. On the flip side, a couple teams that we haven't necessarily seen be consistent, we may have thought would have been Jenkins and Co. at University of Houston. We'll see if they can bounce back. They're, of course, playing from Texas, I believe, on East servers, so a little bit of a ping disadvantage for them, but nonetheless, you expect them to fight past that. We'll see if they can do it. And then, of course, we also have 7, Mars, and Beggs not in the top 20, so I'm excited to see if they can bounce back in game number 3, as honestly, there's a lot of Fortnite left to be played here. Somebody's got.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. A common phrase or common saying you'll hear is high ground wins games, low ground wins tournaments. And that's what you're seeing. Connor's team playing on those lower levels, not necessarily going for a height, and they're not winning the matches, but they're taking the games themselves. And it's going to be every single game. We see them consistently at the end of the game. Hopefully they're able to continue this, and we get to see a battle between a few trios here at the top. You always love to see those punches be thrown back and forth as we tune in with Gage, Exceed, and Connor in game 1. Have a little bit of work to do still. It's by far not over, but when you're uncontested, I mean, look at how much space they have on this right side of the map. There's almost nobody near them. They can get whatever they want.
Yeah, and then you wonder why they're in first place. That might explain it. All of the Dirty Docks loot themselves, so many chests there. And then, of course, all the rotation coming through. They're leaving with great loot, a great situation. Meanwhile, you do only see one team Lazy Lake again. You see 2 teams heading Holly Hedges. They were content just splitting that loot last time around. And again, we do see that Boney Burbs fight. 2 teams over at Boney Burbs. As we jump on board, we mentioned it. I love the fact that our Obs team followed through. They're showing some love to Beggs, Mars, and 7. As we're seeing where they're dropping, they'll certainly need the love. They'll need all the energy they can get, as they're currently not in the top 20. Going to try and break in the top 10.
And with this split, I mean, they're right where zones have been pulling in this position. So they should be in a good spot if we get the similar zones. We see first pop. So we're finally not going to Misty. We're going over to the west side of the map here in game 3. This is halfway through once we're finished up with this. And oh, let's go. My boy Hunter, one of his teammates having some issues with internet, but now once again alive, getting elims in the feed, so I love to see that personally.
Darn straight. Michigan State Spartans stand up and welcome back to the game here. I know they had some connection problems, so good to see them back and returning. I know you're a personal fan, some of your buddies that you play Fortnite with, and I think you mentioned Woody is getting his PhD or just got his PhD at Michigan State, so kudos to him. It's darn impressive. Also playing full-time, Fortnite competitively.
Yeah, Dr. Woody now. He's Woody
Dr.
MD
Woody
can officially become the doctor. So
that
congrats
makes sense.
to him.
Now I get the gamer tag. Now I understand. That's awesome. Oh, very impressive.
Now checking in Holly Hedges once again. These trios battling it out. As we've seen this fight happen, not fully. Both of these teams have been hesitant to full commit to these fights. But we'll have to see if either team can get a knock or any significant damage to push off of. Or are we just going to see the same old where both teams wind up getting a couple tags, walk away, just shambles, and there's no real winner at the end of the day. Now it appears there is going to be a potential winner coming in for the third-party action, as Omar, Zas, and Boomer want to get involved in this fight as well.
Yep, same fight we've been seeing in the Holly Hedges. They teased it last game, but didn't actually end up fighting it. Meanwhile, two teams who have teased nothing. They've been literally just flying at each other every single game. Well, guess what? It's River, Micah, and Duke. This time, it's going to be River, Micah, and Duke, who unfortunately are the recipients of the L, as instead, Team Clemson, Jake, Daddy, and co, they come out on top in that one. They just are flexing their muscles and saying, hey, we are the better team of the Bony Burbs. They continue to fight that initial, which again never seems to work out for a team, because if you're splitting 50-50 these fights, the chances of you winning a tournament are slim.
Yeah, you just don't have the loot. You wind up spending way too much time in these engagements. As we can see, Gremlin, I mean, he's got a couple of shots left in his weapons, but not really where you want to be if you want to take a win. They're sitting up here on high ground, so they're going to be the team that has the opportunity to disengage. This low ground team can't necessarily make a move with someone sitting above them. We see Gremlin going for the shotgun shots on the wall. You know you're not in the best of spots when you're starting to do that here. And it looks like they're full committing to this fight. So for the first time here at Holly Hedges, we might actually see this fight happen. And as I say that, Gremlin starts walking away. So maybe not. Now we tune in with Retail Row.
Right. Got Chang, Badge, and Strap going up against Cut and Co. nearby in Retail Row. As Retail's been dropped uncontested. I think it was also uncontested this game. A team rotated through. I didn't actually have a chance to see. But nonetheless, on board now with Chang, trying to get some long-range pokes. Obviously, every single poke counts. Every bit of damage counts for Storm Surge, which has come into effect significantly early on as we, in the first hit, down to 70. Badge looking cross-map, seeing if he can get a miracle of a headshot with the bow. We saw it. We didn't see it. We saw it in the Olymp feed earlier. His ideal play got a headshot with the bow long range. Didn't actually catch it on screen, but obviously tough to do. But not going to keep these players from trying.
I'd fire all my bow shots. You play with some people, the bow is almost impossible to use. Others don't seem to miss. And what looked like we were disengaging at one point, now everyone's jumping back into the fight. As we see Omar's going for a play here, gets tagged up pretty big by Complex. Zas goes down, so the advantage to play Gremlin and Complex. They get another knock. Now it's a 3v1. No, okay, let's call it a 3v0 as the Elims come through. Gremlin, Play, and McComplex able to win Holly Hedges for the first time today.
There you have it. You actually see the Holly Hedges fight come through, but look at this. Another team nearby. It's going to be Tabachi and Co., who we saw earlier. Right outside of Holly Hedges, they hear the action. They say, you know what, maybe we want to join the party. We want to join the fun. And we'll see what will happen as a result, if they'll actually take this fight and engage or decide to rotate. Both teams are in circle, so they can take this fight if they want to. They're also on the far west side of the map. The chances of another third party coming through are a little bit more slim. They can take that 3v3. We'll keep an eye on the Olymp feed and see if that happens. Meanwhile, B-Dog, Googly, and Holy, I'm going to call him Holy, find themselves in a fight, in a skirmish of their own.
See the Liberty University boys here repping it in their gamer tags. Now all the way up at the north side of the map, they're clearly using some fishing here. We got the hot floppers there on Big B-Dog. I want to call him Big Dog, but we'll stick with B-Dog for today.
Call him Big Dog. He's a big dog in my eyes.
All right, hey, B-Dog. B-Dog, Big Dog, same thing, at least for now. He is the big dog in this game. He's on high ground with Holy, and his trio. They're in a little bit of a predicament here, as now this player, big shots coming through. That's going to be something you might want to push off of.
Yeah, it's true. If you had one teammate looking with them, that might have been an elimination. I shot by Googly right there, but not able to get the pick. But Berkey is finding themselves in a horrible situation. 3 squads in the vicinity, I believe. A lot of action over here, and guess what? This is just the no one wins scenario, right? For the most part, you're fighting in Storm. You got a ways to go on the rotation, and you know, the longer this fight just prolongs, the worse for everyone involved.
No doubt, except for the teams that might need some Storm Surge damage, because likely neither of these trios are making it in with all of this going on. Plus, oh, Googly misses the shots, doesn't matter, his teammate's there. Big Dog able to help him up. And we see Googly down. It's up to Holy and Big Dog. Try and make this fight. You got Stinky down below. He's going for the full Elim here. Trying to get that HP back. He's got the med kit, so should be able to survive for a decently long time. We'll have to see who's going to win the heal off here, or is the fight just going to get forced? B-Dog, not much HP, does get his full Elim back there, and that's going to be nice. We'll have to see if they're able to pick it up, and looks like Holy was able to pick up Stinky there, and that's going to be the end of this fight.
Yep, and this is that, again, no one wins scenario, because now they have a huge rotation, but good thing they have the 2 med kits. No AR ammo at all for Big Dog. And by the way, I love that we're just sticking with the Big Dog call out, because we should. But that's a pretty far rotation for them. The med kits will keep them alive, but we'll see for how long. Meanwhile, Complex, deal play, keeping a close eye on them. Currently on board with them, as they are representing the Miami University of Ohio. Miami University of Ohio. A lot of friends that went to Miami University of Ohio. Here from Chicago, popular school in the Midwest. And we'll see what they can do, as they've been playing well so far through games 1 and 2. I've liked what I've seen overall from them. We switch on over to Sleazetron, Rotten Tomato, and Diftronics.
Now, you asked me this question before. You think Rotten Tomato was born in 1935?
I think so. 1937. I think so. Yeah, this is the oldest player in Fortnite history competing.
What a gamer. Almost 100 years old, still going at it.
You remember that, though, back in the days? Like Xbox 360, people would put their birth year at the end of their gamer tag.
Oh,
you always
people
know how
still
old
do
someone
it.
is. People still do it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Good assumption to make. We're now switching on over to Connor, Gage, and Exceed, our first place teams, currently the leaders of this tournament, been playing so well. And you mentioned I actually wasn't aware. So is this Connor's potential last tournament, Fortnite?
So he has decided to stop playing competitively. This is potentially his last one. He tweeted out earlier this is his last go at competitive Fortnite. So take that for what it is. We've seen players retire and come back. Maybe the itch will come back sooner rather than later, or it never does. Could be pulling a Michael Jordan. But either way, Connor's had a solid career, both on the battlefield, quote unquote, as well as behind the scenes. Connor does a lot of work to help players out with practice, to organize different events. Amazing. So big stuff by him.
I'd love to see that. That's how I was when I competed and played back in the day. I was always really, really involved in the community as well, and that's actually helped me get a job at Xbox out of college. So definitely recommend anyone out there, make sure you're involved, take a leadership role. Everything that we've seen Monster D face and the entire Prac server team do, and initially just started off as a hobby, and now they've been able to turn a business out of it. So you never know what getting involved and taking a little bit of leadership, helping others will do for your career, for yourself. We now jump on board with Joe Skilla alongside Coach Monkey, Bokami. They've been quietly in the top 10 throughout. Also quietly, Monkey did well in the solos competition. They're representing York University.
We saw some fans of Swim Coach Monkey asking earlier to try and get him some screen time. There we go. He's hanging out. He's in his box. He's safely aboard. As we check out, here is a potential fight waiting to happen, as we see Tabchi below Storm Surge. So these guys are going to have to make a play here, and it's not going to happen unless somebody forces it. Going for it already, not waiting until Surge is starting to tick. This is highly recommended here, as Chang is able to get a knock there in the feed. Tabchi, try to play this smart. You have some time. Don't necessarily need to go psychoing in, diving into boxes just yet. As we see, this is the plan. They're going to play this a little more slowly, hoping to find some shots. Nothing's come through yet, and everyone is now getting involved. Lots of trios in this area taking shots, being a third party, being a nuisance for these trios. And now Tabchi and Co. going down further below the Storm Surge threshold.
That's right. Earlier they had a 3v3, and for quite some time we said Holly Hedges will be uncontested, no third parties until teams rotate. And they could have taken that 3v3 earlier, get them that Storm Surge instead. Now they find themselves in absolute mayhem. as there's so many teams nearby. Just take a look at the mini-map there. You got 5, 6 teams in the vicinity. Now my question is, what was the team again? I can't remember. I'm blanking. That won the Holly Hedges fight. I don't know if I see them.
I believe they're that purple team down over near the Viking. It was Ideal Play. I don't remember exactly who his trio was off the top of my head, but I believe those guys are nearby hanging out. They should be good for Surge, as it looks like Tabchi just barely gets himself above. Normally these lobbies start to render themselves a little better as far as like evening out the elims, but nobody's being super aggressive here. And Derpy takes down Capalor. This is a team we saw win our first game, now without one of their players.
That's right. Not the best game 2, and it's looking a little scary here in game 3. They're 44 above the damage threshold for Storm Surge, which again will change based on players and will remain until there's 70 players left in the lobby. You gotta stay above that threshold, as you'll get tagged by Storm Surge and damage will be done to you. It kind of creates a sense of urgency and feature in the game to kind of force some fights and create a different feature that, you know, revolves around, hey, you got to manage and maintain your Storm Surge threshold, right? So for any new viewers that are watching right now, first off, welcome to competitive Fortnite. Appreciate you supporting your friend, child, whoever it might be, student that might be competing today in the PlayVS competition. Second, let's take a look here and jump back in as we're watching Meepy and Toastiest Waffles from University of Central Florida try to have another big game 3 here, but again, right above the damage threshold, only down to 2 players. Might be a little scary for them.
They're going to have to make a nice long rotate either way. Don't have the materials really to do anything besides just follow some builds. Hopefully Toastiest can hit one here. Does not connect on that. Gets a couple of tags. That'll help with Surge. Not going to help their position, as we see Swerved goes down right there. Shift also getting knocked. And here's Complex, Gremlin, Ideal Play. You're asking who won the Holly fight, and this is them right here.
There they are. All right. I wasn't sure if they got taken out some way, somehow, but nope, still in the area. They've been off to a good start. That's why they got to avoid that entire craziness over in Holly, because they didn't need the Storm Surge. They didn't need to put themselves at the center of that. They could instead put themselves at the dead side part of the circle, which dead side part of the circle is the side of the circle that's going to be way less rotated, because it's the far side of that circle that's less populated. Sets himself up for a potential late game run here. Toastiest Waffles now with 17 HP and an absolute dream. Storm right behind him, getting tagged up by a team that's driving away, but they missed some shots. And Toastiest survives for now. You wonder how long.
I would not expect him to make it into this zone. He goes down.
We should have had an over-under of 3 seconds, probably right there.
Some Twitch chat predictions. How long does Toastiest survive? Nah, but solid start. Need to get back to whatever worked for them game 1. Maybe they were doing the same thing and it doesn't work. Fortnite's a difficult game to understand, so sometimes you do something that works one game, it's not necessarily going to work every single game. As we see the zone, look at that mini-map in the bottom right corner. Fallout, everyone is in the bottom right corner. No one is on that like northwestern side of zone, and it'll be interesting to see if zone pulls there. Who's going to get that position?
It will be interesting indeed. And there you go. You see it on screen. Hush, Posick, and Stendo yet again well positioned to hold on to a high ground and to win yet another game. That's obviously a big if they can do it, if they can maintain, and if they can secure that high ground when it comes to it. There's obviously still a lot of Fortnite to be played here in game number 3. We're almost at the halfway mark of this tournament. What a tournament it's been so far. We've seen some risers, right? Hush, Stendo. We've had Connor, Gage in that squad, who I don't know if I've seen them nearby. We also have Beggs, Seven, and March from the University of Maryland, a favorite of mine going into this tournament that hasn't necessarily looked great so far or shown up. Maybe didn't have the best games 1 and 2, but there you go. As I say that, big shout out to our observers showing us exactly what we're looking for. We got Gage, Exceed, and Connor still alive, but they got a max rotation to make.
Production team always got your back. You say something, they got you covered shortly after.
Facts.
So big shouts to them, like you just said, and we'll have to see how this rotate happens. Look like somebody has already built them a path, so not going to be as bad of a rotate as it could be. Plus, this mountain, this hill that could potentially be holding them, everyone has moved out of that position, and it looks like Gage was able to snag somebody who was making a late rotate, so they're picking up an elim. Don't know why nobody is helping Twins. Twins was just left for himself to fend for himself. He gets fully eliminated, and this should be a free refresh on the way in for the boys. Now checking out how zone is playing. Everyone is almost in zone. We see a last few teams making that final rotation in, but we'll go up on high ground in a really high position right here. Poised to play height if they get this fifth zone.
That's right. Nice rotation from Connor, Gage, and Exceed. Keeping themselves alive for this game. Trying to be the most consistent team, trying to maintain that first place spot. We still have Posick, Hush, and Co. in alive and well. We got Mars, Beggs, and Seven with great pressure right now, putting damage in. They're well above that damage threshold, so they should be okay here. Nice job to them. So far, so good. In circle as well. 56 players remain, 21 teams in this lobby. It'll be an interesting end game. I'm excited for this one here. Somebody's gone.
Oh, always interesting, especially these zones that pull over Holly. You have to expect no elevation changes are going to take effect. Basically a flat ground. We got some buildings in the way, but compared to previous zones, it does not go up some mountains. And we see Mars, Seven, and Bags get the zone. They're going to crank straight up. They want to hold this position. Only team currently in zone, and they are up on the high ground in a great spot here. We talked about, okay, that they're not performing up to expectations as they're a favorite going into this. This is the game where they should perform. If anyone is going to win this game at this moment, it has to be them.
Yeah, they're in a great position here, and to somebody's gun point there, if you look at the bottom right of your screen, when we get back into gameplay here, you'll see the circle. They're actually in zone. The zone actually flipped to them. That means they can just put so much damage, so much pressure on teams as they're rotating through. Because keep in mind, there's not a lot, no more bouncer pads in play, not a lot of mobility that gives you kind of a free rotation. So that means opportunity for elims for Mars, Beggs, and Seven as people are rotating by foot, maybe by pepper. It'll be a very interesting rotation, very tough rotation for some of these teams, but it's happening. Quite a few teams inside. We haven't seen Mars and Co. get a kill just yet, but they do find themselves in a pretty good position here on the high ground to potentially close this game out, as SMG said.
And we'll have to see if any of these northern teams making this late rotate are going to be able to make it. We see Connor Tarpon ahead for his trio. Getting lower on those mats. Stendo getting an elimination. The feed. A-Season picking up one. Actually two as well. So he's fragging out a little bit. Able to pick up a couple of eliminations. We see Gage getting one onto Ranster. Just making sure he's got the best loot possible. He does have the peppers, so that could be potential plays later on. Beggs continuing to ramp on up. Trying to hold this high ground as teams get closer and closer. And will go. King and Cool Gamer are nearby. They're definitely looking to make a play onto height at some point.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on that and see if Mars, Seven, and Beggs can hold on to high ground. But right now, so far, so good for them. We got Hush, Stendo, and Posick on the low ground nearby. Expect them to pop off. One of our top teams has been so consistent throughout. I hope I don't give them the catcher's curse here. But Chenkin's right nearby them, alongside Eagle and Thanks for Siphon. That's a 3v3 fight between Team Houston and Posick, who I believe is coming from a community college out east. I'll confirm that in a moment. Beggs on high ground, still in a good position and good opportunity to close this game out.
Goes down, drops for the connect. We're going now to the east here. Beggs wants to hold the height. Goes for another connect. You got to fortify your high ground. Spend a little bit to make sure you're staying on height. We see does get tagged up. That's from a lack of solid protection. No one's looking to make plays onto the high ground yet. This team is still holding their position, and we see how they're going to close this out if they can. The whole loadout tells me they have the possibility to. It's just a matter of how many teams are going to play for that high ground position. We talk about what this trio that we're watching, Exceed, Connor, and Gage, is going to do once again here on the low ground, as it looks like another team's contesting their lair, but these guys could and should be able to cut them off here and punish them if they're not moving quickly.
Right, staying on that low ground, what's worked for them so far. They haven't won a game by high ground yet, and they're looking to potentially win another one. They've had some far rotations, and they're all still alive. As I say that, never mind, Gage gets taken out. Exceed is in a horrible position health-wise. Needs to try to heal up, but instead is going to just slow play this. Look for a potential siphon, and Gage is going to get taken out. Connor will follow shortly after. 24 players left. As I said, Connor somehow stays alive for quite some time, but he's going to get box jumped right now. It's looking bleak for Connor, doing everything he possibly can. Finally gets taken out. Veggie, Connor, both down out of this one.
And we see Seven up, still on the high ground, taking down eliminations. Jelly just owning this other low ground position on the opposite side of zone. King taking down Veggie. We see Will go down. Crazy getting knocked. Hush picking up that one. Harsh getting the limb there onto Crazy and Will go. But Jelly and Mackie DeMarco looking to play this right side. Chankins right above them, while High Ground is in a wonderful position. They might be running low on materials based on how they're building. As I say that, they go right ahead, take this front side of zone, drop down. Gonna go for a little connect here by Beggs. Everyone is on the bottom 2 layers. High Ground is just free up top without a worry in the world. Is Posick, Hush, and Stendo on front side of zone, the only other full trio that I see right now.
Yeah, I've loved how they've been playing on the low ground. I've been keeping an eye on them. They are rotating so incredibly well as a trio. Tarping, picking up the limbs along the way. Posick gets another one on AJ King. But you're right, Beggs, 7, Mars, uncontested High Ground. They are just cruising their way to a potential victory royale here and trying to pick up as many limbs as they can along the way. They've only gotten a few. Here we go, another pick from Steve over to Tabchi. Posick gets the final E-limb, but finally gets taken out by Harsh. And this is the pressure from top 7. Gets the pick on the complex.
And unlimited AR ammo at this point. The trigger just gets held down. Gremlin making plays in Storm, so able to pick it up. He secured the 2nd place. Now can he do a quick 1v3? No, that's absolutely not going to happen. Beggs, Mars, 7. Take the high ground, hold the high ground, and take the game.
A 7 elim first place finish. We kind of called upon them to step up in game 3, and boy, did they answer the call of duty. Great job from them. 3rd game, huge game, victory royale coming through from the University of Maryland squad, UMD, Big Ten, the Terps showing up big as we take a look at the replays.
We see Gremlin's team was one of the ones fighting off at Holly, able to make it into 2nd place. So after a couple of games that were somewhat scuffed, securing the placement here in this 3rd match of the day. We're halfway through. Be interested to see how the leaderboards are shaking out, because now we've had 3 different winners in 3 different matches.
That's right. It's been, despite the 3 different winners in 3 matches, we've seen some consistency in the top 2 of the leaderboards, as we know that Posick and Co were able to hold themselves on top of in 2nd place, right behind Connor and Co in 1st place. So you're right. I'm interested to see how things shake up, and guess what? We will have the standings in Game 4 live and ready right after this. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, everybody, to the PlayVS Spring 21 College Championship featuring Fortnite. 3 games down, 3 to go, and guess what? We got the standings ready for you. Let's go ahead and jump right in and take a look after 3 games. We got, in first place, Posick, Hush, and Stendo looking to go back-to-back as Posick in championships after winning the NA East Finals last week. Right behind them, well, the team that's not slipped out of the top 2 yet, it's been Connor, Exceed, and Gage. But look at 4th place on screen here. Huge uptick somebody's gotten for Mars, 7, and Beggs.
100%, but you got it's Posick, Hush, and Stendo stealing the show right now. 200 total points. They got a 3rd place, a win, and then another 3rd place. That is really hard to compete with unless you're just winning every single game and slaying out. There's a lot of teams competing though, because hey, things can happen. We're only halfway through. If they go down early, there is a gap for one of these teams to come up. Ideal play, McComplex, Gremlin, after fighting off spawn, able to seal the deal. Now top 6 in a good spot. So like to see those trios doing well. Swing Coach Monkey, Bukami, Joskilla, now in 8th place, doing well, and Pinocchio, Jacrispy, Smarty still hanging out. They love that 9th place spot.
Yeah, that's right. And keep in mind, all teams here in the top 10 have an average placement of at least 10th or better, so consistency is key. Not the case here in page number 2, as we got Capilor, Tostius, Waffles, and Meepy, who got first place in game number 1. We thought they were looking good, but since then have kind of quieted down a little bit, but they're still in contention. They won that first game, so I'm excited to see what they can do. Boomer, Zaz, and Omar right behind them in 12th. Thanks for Siphon, Eagle, and Jenkins working their way from 20th to 12th, coming from the University of Houston. And then we got a variety of other teams working their way down. We got Sirius, Lasix, and Junie. And of course, rounding out Dr. Duke, Micah, and Big River. Now, again, you're not going to see that 20th place team in Duke, Micah, and River break into the top 10 if they keep splitting their drop spot and contesting, because, you know, statistically speaking, they're going to lose potentially, we always say 50-50, 50% of the fights. That means 3 games, and we've already seen it with 1. They might not even have a chance to make it to late game. It's not worth it for the early game contention. I'd like to see them drop somewhere else.
Yeah, and even if you make it off spawn after you win your early game fight, doesn't necessarily mean you're in a good spot. So that 50%, well, let's call it like 30, because then you're just down bad after at least half, or let's call it a quarter of those fights. You know, quick math, probably 30%, something like that. I'll let the math majors here be able to figure that out. But now it's all going to come down to this final back half. We've seen teams put themselves in a place to compete for this top prize, the Scholastic Award from PlayVS. Now, who is going to make that leap? Who's going to stay consistent if you're Posick, Hush, and Stendo? I mean, 3rd place, 1st place, 3rd place. That's not easy to do and continue to do over 3 more games. Do you think they have it in them, Fallout?
Yeah, that's right. And, you know, you talk about the prize pool, $42,000 prize pool for trios here. I mean, it's significant. And these teams that are in top 3, like you said, do have the best chance to go big, to continue running. But we saw last tournament in NA East. I keep bringing it up, and we also casted NA West together. But NA East, Posick was actually not even in the top 5 after the first 3 games, I don't believe, and popped off in games 4 through 6. So we can see a team go huge. Will it be Mars, 7, and Beggs going huge in game 4 after a great game 3 to put themselves in the top 5? We don't know. It's going to be a crazy finish here, and I'm excited somebody's gonna. If you had to make any type of bold prediction, what are you liking so far? Who do you like to take it?
All right, so bold prediction, we're saying it has to be someone outside of the top 5, I would assume. It would be, like let me take a quick peek at what our leaderboard looks like. I'm going to go with Feji, A-Season, and Tabchi. That'll be my bold pick. They're currently in 7th place right now. Seen them do pretty well. Solid, consistent games when they're able to make it off spawn. And we'll see, you know? Throw it out.
Love that one. Hey, love that one. Love the bold prediction. My bold prediction is that Posick, Hush are going to win it. No, I'm just kidding. That's not fair. Look at this off the rip, though. Dr. Duke, we talked about that initial fight. Dr. Duke, Micah, and co. taking out the Clemson boys over in Boney Burbs again. You see an early game contention there. Speaking of Posick, we're on board with them. And they're the ones that have been dropping Lazy Lake uncontested. So no surprise here. Our top 2 teams have had Dirty Docks uncontested and Lazy Lake uncontested. That's putting them in such a great spot. As just as I say that, Dr. Duke takes out Rocket Man. That should round things out. No, actually, no, not yet. We still have 1 player alive over in that Boney Burbs fight. But again, that early fight will come through.
And looking like this is going through quickly, as Kep Daddy is finally eliminated. So that fight's over. That's how you want to fight off spawn, or that's how I would personally like to fight off spawn. Those quick 50-50 like fights that aren't really going to allow either player to waste a ton of heals, mats, different kinds of ammo. That way you can at least continue, you can loot, you can play the rest of the game out. So, poised to have a solid match here, and now we're checking out Xro, Swayward, OTP. We're looking to get on to a fight here of Crazy and Iconic, who are right ahead of them.
That's right. Might be taking the fight. Just creeping their way, hopping his way over with that bow, seeing if he can get in a first shot. Huge advantage, and these individuals don't have any shield in front of them either, so this might be a fight that they want to take here, SMG.
It is something that they're looking to fight here. They're in the vehicle. You get the nice little boost there from the car. Crazy Iconic trying to get what little HP they can left. Xro jumping in, grabbing the pieces here, quickly boxing the player. Nice play. Should wait for his teammates. They're on the backside. They're going to be able to clean that up. Now here we go. Swayward able to get Crazy fully eliminated. Looks like a 3v1 unless there's a player that's going to come flying out of nowhere. Big shots. One player is going to get knocked. That's OTP going down. He gets fully eliminated. Can Xro and Swayward take this? Or is Iconic going to pull off a miracle 3v1? Big shots coming through. The 21 white HP. Is Swayward able to finish this fight? Does OTP have to be resurrected? And there it is. That is the end of it. Now we move on to the next phase where you go pick up your teammate.
Yep. They'll try and get A-Season back. Well, actually not A-Season. Their third teammate back up and alive. Speaking of which, A-Season's also hoping for the same out of this one. Abchi and Feji, last two alive for now, and teams everywhere, like shark-infested waters. They got to be careful, as it's just going to be a quick scoop up in the car, and they're like, well, let's just dip our way out of here. Nice rotation, nice builds to protect. But of course, a little more difficult to drive on grass in Fortnite. They should be able to back out and reset. And well done from them, surviving at least for now as a team of two.
Yeah, not looking good. I'm thinking the caster curse was real. This was my bold prediction of a team to make it outside of the top 5. Not doing well off spawn here. They've already lost A-Season, so unfortunate. Now we check in with Doinks, Berkey, and Stinky, who once again are contesting the Liberty University guys over at this Flopper Island. We'll have to see if the fight happens once again. We see Zone is not pulling to the north, so we might have a unfortunate fight up here in the north again. It looks like Googly, B-Dog, and Holy are trying to get out of here. Oh, the big shots coming through with that epic infantry rifle, but not going to be enough really to stop anybody.
That's right. We're back with Big Dog, baby. If you just decided we deemed him, he's Big Dog. Whether he likes it or not, he's earned the right. He's earned the gamer tag. He's performed. Big shot to B-Dog. It's been fun to watch them play. Meanwhile, we're going to switch on over back to the Durburgers. On board with Hunter. Dip, Sage, Season, Tripod nearby. Hunter with Woody. These are your boys here from Michigan State. Let's see what they can do.
Yeah, we got Hunter, Woody, and Bruston deciding to contest here at the Rainbow Rentals. They were able to win their first fight off spawn last game. I don't think this is where they landed last game. And this is also where A-Season and co were landing in the previous matches, but they're taking a good high position already. As we see the Bosch coming through by Trip, Sage. Now we're checking out it's Hunter's POV. He is a hunter. Pretty good mechanically for an older fellow who likes to play video games. So gotta throw some respect on the name, and we'll have to see how they can play this out. Looking like this other trio is going to want to disengage based on the positioning, but who knows? Storm Surge has been an issue, and the fights may just happen anyway.
That's right. At least they're getting some tags early here, managing Storm Surge as mentioned. Good shots put through, and there you go. Rustin, Hunter, Woody will get some tags in, live to fight another day, and are in circle right now. Find themselves in a pretty decent spot here. We have 8 players eliminated so far, 2 squads out of this game. A moderate start here so far, and then of course expect things to heat up as Storm Surge starts to hit to get us down to 70 players left. Tripod just looking for it. He wants Woody to pop out. He's daring him. He's not going to get it.
Well, it was almost an engagement. It was like, oh, okay, they do hit that one. Woody is
oh my goodness,
getting knocked. So Tripod able to hit that one, and now the fight has completely changed. These guys need to get the res off while Dip, Tripod, and Sag try and get back into this engagement. Can Bruston hold them off, or is this fight going to continue? It looks like Hunter's going to be able to get the res there onto Woody, but it's already going to be Tripod, Sag on the high ground here. And now getting into It's Hunter's face. Sag coming in from behind. He's actually far away, so I said he was here, but he's definitely not. Dip hitting shots there, and the 3v3 continues.
Yeah, if they would have gotten that knock on Tripod, that would have helped slow things down a little bit, but instead, nice job by Tripod, get the shots, letting his teammates actually follow through with the follow-up, but they still have work to do. Let's see if they can do it. And there you go, Tripod's actually going to go down, getting punished for the aggression here. Nice job from Woody and co. Tripod out, Sage still alive, going to drop to low ground here. Dip going to do the same thing, and look at this. They're actually just completely backing out and resetting with their tail between their legs. And now it's going to be Woody and co. on the aggressive, quick, and just like that, crazy how things change.
And now we're going to see a more of a box fight style. Is looking like Tripod might be able to get picked up if the pressure doesn't continue. Everyone in this fight is a little weak, so taking a second, healing up, getting your loadout together, getting your loot together, and now going to re-engage. We'll have to see which team comes out on top, because so far this fight's pretty even. 2 knocks so far, 1 on each side. Both players have been able to get rezzed and back up. And now Bruston, Hunter, Woody still on the high ground. They're holding this position pretty strong. Nonetheless, the team below doesn't look like they're going to be moving, trying to make a play from out of here anytime soon.
Yeah, they're committing so many mats to this. Look at this, down to only 11 mats left for Bruston. They've committed a lot in resources. You know, no more heals to their name outside of a few bandages here. At this point, even if you win this fight, it's a scary situation. There's not a whole lot that you're going to be rewarded with outside of a few elimination points. But hey, for a team like Woody, Hunter, and Bruston, they didn't get into games 1 and 2 due to some internet issues they were having. Might be worth the fight to try and dig your way back into this competition. As I say that, though, they're actually just going to finally, I think wisely, back out and say, all right, it's not worth it, boys.
But they might wind up running into our Clemson guys, who seem to be right next to the Spire nearby. They're posting up over there. Zone is pulling. Looking like Hunter is the one quickly getting out of there, but Bruston and Woody still possibly want some of the sauce. Arrow hanging out. My man went AFK and paid for it there with a headshot body by B-Dog, or Big Dog as he's known around these parts. Now Arrow's getting left by his teammates. What happened to him?
Uh-oh. At least his teammates build for him? No, he built for himself. He's back. Yeah, but Dylan and Derpy are like, sorry, bud. Good luck. We're the fishing duo. They are still fishing. That's good. As Dylan and Derpy completely just dipset. Meanwhile, switching back over here. We're on board with OTP Sway in the Slurpy Swamp. Actually switching over to G-Strap, Chang, and Badge from Georgia Tech. We'll see what they can do. As they're just going to get some materials here, farm up, and post up. They will have to rotate momentarily, though. We'll see if they take any of these fights as Chang is actually taken out.
And these guys should just be chilling here, getting as many mats as possible. We see farming the floors. Something you got to do at some point is, I think Feji and Tab want to grab their teammate back. A-Season went down earlier. Now Toastiest Waffles and co. making a play. Capalor, Meepy, with the support there on the triple spray, not able to connect for their elimination, forcing these players out of the way. Now they're going to own this position as these players move on out.
That's right. Our winners from game number 1, who have since slowed down, do find themselves in a pretty good spot on the edge of the circle here, but it is on dead side, so not as much activity nearby. No eliminations to their name, but good materials. Below the threshold for Storm Surge, though, so expect them to get a little desperate here. That'd be a bit scary for them.
Up on the high ground, in a position to get the surge damage on the edge of Storm if people are making rotates. And it looks like Tab and Feji are on the backside of a play, trying to go for some surge. We have the most players up that we've seen in this second zone. There's 90 players alive here, Fallout.
Insanity. That means 20 players will be taken out from this Storm Surge. Expect madness to ensue here momentarily. It's going to be a crazy fight for these players that are desperate for Storm Surge. Veggie and Tabchi lost their teammate, and it's looking a little scary for them. And Veggie is going to get tagged up even more and even worse. If these team players realize that it's only a team of 2, they might actually end up pushing. But no, actually, as I say that, I think it's the Georgia Tech boys, who are also a team of 2. So it ends up being a good situation for both teams because neither team wants to push that.
And this fight might wind up happening whether either team wants it or not. Only 84 above with 20 players needing to go down. This is likely about to happen. And we'll continue to see fights throughout the map happen. We have 35 seconds until the Storm Surge takes effect. And once that happens, all rules, all gameplay styles are gone. It becomes left stick forward, W key, right trigger, let's get firing because we need to get ourselves some damage. And Connor's team is one of them that needs that damage. Only 14 above. There's no way that holds. But there's another team on their wall here, and it looks like they might be able to pick up some eliminations as Connor has to now back out in between 2 different trios.
That's right. They're getting sandwiched a little bit, but they did get that first knock. It's going to help them out quite a bit. So they go from being the meat of the sandwich to the bread. I always say, you don't want to be the meat of the sandwich. You want to be the bread of the sandwich in Fortnite. You want to be the one that's third partying or that's pinching. Meanwhile, Exceed trying to do some pinching of their own alongside Connor. Engage as they see Bokami nearby. They know that they can get this elim. They know they have one knocked already. And they know they have the advantage, but they got to be a little bit careful. They're slightly above the Storm Surge threshold, but not a ton. So they're going to have to do quite a bit of damage here. They're going to have to start playing aggressive momentarily.
And now we're starting to see, looks like Tripod goes down. Tab is able to pick one up, and it looks like Connor goes down right in front of us. The feed is lighting up with eliminations. Everyone is just battling right now. Across the map, we're seeing fights continue to happen. Connor, they're going to have to give him up because Bokami is jumping in, and it looks like Exceed has multiple players on his wall. Gage is going for an angle here, trying to find some shots. Able to take down Bokami. That should quell the pressure at least for a second. And they're going to be able to pick up Connor, heal up, and get their third back. What a play by Gage.
Big players make big-time plays in big-time moments. We just saw right there from Gage. I love the decision going on the flank. And you know, that's something that, look, my boomer self, having played competitive games for a very long time, I can pull off a mean flank, but you know it just takes common game sense to understand. Hey, this is not a good situation. I got to reset this, turn this fight on its head by flanking wide right, and that's exactly what happened. Also able to pick up a knock. Great plays from Gage right there, and now this fight is reset.
And looks like both teams, actually all 3 teams that were in this area, are going to survive and move on out of this. Now it's time to focus, rotate. Only one player still dealing with Surge, so that poor guy has been getting ticked away from Surge damage for about 2.5 minutes now. Absolutely phenomenal to be able to heal that off. I don't know how that happened, but respect to that player anyway. Twins get knocked, so that could be our final one. Beggs goes down, so our previous game winners already losing. Some of their teammates wholly going down as well. Twins gets fully eliminated, and so does Beggs. A lot of elims coming through still as the end of these Storm Surge fights are now over. And Gage, actually, he is down to 1 HP as these guys are rotating through, and Arrow had to make a play. Exceed, Gage, and Connor absolutely getting punished on this rotate.
Yeah, that's right. I'm not sure if Gage has any heals because they healed a lot in that last fight. It looks like Gage is going to be popping him. And now back on board with Gage. Pushing up, playing aggressive here. Finding themselves a couple teammates nearby.
Looks like 7 is still alive, so even though they've lost Beggs, at least a couple of members of the trio are still alive. 65 remaining. As I say that, 7 gets knocked, so it's going to be all up to one player here is Veggie. Looking to make some plays. We've seen them be pretty aggressive as a duo with Tab. Even though A-Season's not here, he's been able to make some plays and now continuing to lock down on the feed. They appear to know there's a knock in this building. They're going to go for it. 7 gets fully eliminated. That's Jock Crispy. They were taking down multiple players. That seems like a fight that's continued for at least a full zone here. And now Veggie just gonna back on out, get back in the slurp, take a breath. He's like, hey, all right, we can hang out here. We can get some extra HP. A little bit of fishing strat going on. Do you know the Cray strat, Fallout?
Tell me the Cray strat.
The Cray strat is just simply healing off Storm. You're not trying to go for eliminations. You hang out in Slurpee. You catch a lot of fish, and you just simply out heal the Storm. They were able to make round 4 and round 3 multiple times. Only round 4 once, but round 3 multiple times in the EU region. The team qualified for heats with 0 eliminations. Quite impressive.
Unbelievable. Hey, that's what I like to call an innovator. All right, whether it's in Fortnite or anywhere else, find ways to break the meta, find ways to change the meta, and make it happen. Right? There's different ways to play this game. You got to get creative. You know, a college degree certainly helps. All these players can think outside the box a little bit, but nonetheless, interesting stuff coming through from Cray and Co. As we saw a little bit of that coming on right here. They're able to fish up, get some heals in Slurpee Swamps, and maybe potentially stay alive here. Exceed gets taken out. We just saw that on screen, so that's big. Our number 2 team is out. I did see Hush earlier in the Olympi getting in the limb. I do think we have Posick and Hush still alive.
Now some more Surge fights looking like they're happening here. Mcor's jumping in the box. He wants the elimination. Lucky takes out a fellow member of the team, but both of his teammates are out. So it's all up to Luxy. Can he execute in this play, in this box? It's going to be up to him. He's trying to back on out of here, just build this metal, give him a space to work with. We see Cool Gamer will go in an engagement here. Doink's taking down Will Go right there. And now this player is just hiding. He's trying to make a secret play here. Doesn't always have to be loud and proud. Sometimes sneaky is all good.
Especially if you're the last alive. You don't want to shoot the first person you see either. You want to wait for the perfect opportunity to get a flank. We'll see what happens there. Meanwhile, back on with Posick. Hush and Stendo still alive. 0 eliminations here. They got a knock earlier. Didn't get the elim. They got a rotation to make. They're not going to have high ground by any means in this game. They're going to have to play another low ground warrior type of game. Take a look at that. Capilor, Meepy, and Toastiest Waffles. Our winners from Game 1 still alive. Our winners from Game 2 alive as well. This will be an interesting one going into this late game. And again, I just have to continue to give kudos to Hush, Posick, and Co. because they've been the most consistent team, hands down.
It is incredible the fact that they're able to still do this, and they should be able to make this late game as well. We see this zone friendly for anyone here up in the north side and Weeping. Cool Gamer looking to make a solo play with King and Will Go already down. Can Cool Gamer solo clutch up? They picked up 5 eliminations thus far, only scooping up 21st as far as placement goes. And really the big points come between 5th place and the Victory Royale. So if you're not making it there, you're basically just hanging out with everyone else. Control getting a knock there on the Swim Coach Monkey. Cool Gamer hanging out in his cone. Nobody's going to bother you when you're in the cone. And now we're checking out our first place team going in for the elimination on Jock Crispy. That's a nice one. Real quick.
Yeah, there you go. They get their first elimination of the game here. Cooler Gamer's trying to get yet another. Needs that siphon. Gonna get it. And gonna get a little refresh. Cooler Gamer staying alive, doing something. Getting 4 limbs there, plus the 2 from his teammates. 6 limbs overall. Not a horrible game for them. You take a look here. Final finish to game number 4. We got Dylan is fishing and Arrow still alive. Looks like they lost Derpy. Look who has the high ground. It's gonna be the Ashland University crew. Micah and Co. dropping Boney Burbs and sticking it to the Clemson boys every single round. They're still alive and well. We gave some love to Sirius and Junie last standings check, and they're doing well as well. They're alive. Your boy Woody and Hunter managed to rotate all the way through. They're still alive. And of course, we got Gremlin as a part of this squad, and we got Hush and Posick still alive as well.
Now we get to see where first zone pulls. We're going across the river and then through the woods on this little rotate here. Gremlin on the backside of Storm, not in the best of position. He's going to look for some shots, takes what he can, and gets out. Oh, Gremlin goes down. Lucky is also going to be eliminated. We saw him looking to make a solo play. Control picking up some elims. Toastiest Waffles, Capilor, and Meepy on the high ground here. This is where they were able to win their previous game. This team on height is dangerous, but Posick Hush and Stendo looking to make another significant play here on the low ground, make it late in the game, and continue to farm these placement points.
Yeah, that's right. And they should be okay from a Storm Surge perspective. Look at this high ground. We got DeMarco, Jelly, Speedy. Right below them, secondary high ground is Tasty as Waffles, Capilor, and Meepy, but they're going to actually drop. They're going to say not worth contesting for this high. They're too high up, not worth the mats, and they're going to be joining the fight on the mid ground. Harsh goes down. Hunter goes down all up to Woody, last member alive for their team. Dr. Duke, Big Red River, still alive. Looks like they lost Micah. And it all comes down to this final fight here. We got Posick and Stendo and Hush doing such a good job rotating as a trio. I've been impressed by their late game ability to stick together, team fire, and to play on the mid to low ground.
Consistently controlling that low ground layer, and that's what you need to do. We're checking in on this high ground team of Jelly, DeMarco, and Speedy. They're up here on height, only 2 eliminations, but starting to pick them up. Players are getting weak. Capilor goes down. That's Jelly picking that up. Stendo picks up Woody there. DeMarco picking up some more eliminations. So just as I say, not many. They're scooping up all the eliminations here in this end game. Looks like Chankin's trio is still alive. Posick is doing everything to control that low ground. If you're going to play low, you're going through this team, and Posick picks up Chankin's. Now continuing to play here. Up on high ground, Toastiest Waffles goes down. Mika, who eliminated the big Clemson trio, is out here. Now, time to see how this low ground plays out for Meepy. He's giving it a shot from high to low. Posick dominating this position. We'll see if they make a play for height in these final moments.
Yeah, Meepy finally gets taken out after knocking Mika. And here we go, 10 players left in this one. Stendo, Posick, and Hush have been dominating the low ground, and you said it earlier, high ground wins games, low ground wins tournaments, and this has never been so true than in this tournament so far, as every single round they have been the complete controllers of the low to mid ground, working so well as a squad. It all comes down to a 3v3v 2 more teams after that. Extra's going to get a nice crack, finishes the knock on Hush. That's big.
Oh my, Extra's popping off. He's got 10 eliminations by himself, another 6 on his teammates. He goes for a higher position, decides, no, okay, that team on height looking a little too good. He finds another player, takes a big shot. He's in storm, tanking storm damage, gets back to his teammate here, and now is going to pop the medkit. I don't know that he has time to get it off. Extro and OTP continuing to frag out. What a game by them, even if they don't win it. They're in a position now. The high ground team drops in, but they don't know who they're dealing with. Extro drops him. He's in a box. He's face to face. He goes down. And now it's up to Stendo, Posick to win this out as they are taking on a 2v2 of the high ground team. Posick going for the medkit play. Who is going to win this?
Oh, it's going to be insane. Stendo has to keep his teammate alive, and there you have it. His teammate Posick's going to knock one. It's a 1v1 for the bread. Stendo versus Jelly, and Stendo with the 180 closes it out. The team with high ground is not able to finish the game there. Instead, Posick, Hush, Stendo, they win their 2nd in a row. They are absolutely running away with this tournament and the potential for a $12,000 in Scholastic Awards prizing. What a game that was.
Yeah, but not to be overshadowed, though. They were doing everything they needed to do, but Extro, man, popping off that game. 10 elims by himself. I mean, that's rare to see a player pop off that big and able to make it into the top 3. What a game by multiple trios. Love to see it. The action is happening all over the place in every single layer, in every single zone, and we'll see how this continues to play out as we got a couple more games left.
That's right. We got 2 more to close it out here. Posick and co, as mentioned, have been running away with it as Posick's looking to go back-to-back, but there are a couple other teams that have been contesting for that first place spot. 2 pop-off games from them might take them off the first place finish, but nonetheless, there's still a ton of additional prize pool to be played for here. As we saw this late game, look at this. Jelly, you can see it from Jelly's point of view, completely turned on by Stendo. That was absolutely disgusting, SMG.
Man, whether that was on purpose or not, the knocked player phases the ramp, which causes Jelly to force into the box instead of going up above, helps him and his teammate Stendo to take that victory royale. What a game. We're going to break it down for you, show you what the leaderboard looks like right after a quick break.
Welcome back, everybody, to the PlayVS Spring 21 Collegiate Championship featuring Fortnite. This is the Trios competition. We've wrapped up our Solos competition last week for NA West and NA East, where we had thousands and thousands of Scholastic Awards awarded. Guess what? We got another $42,000 awarded, the first to the overall prize pool. First place team will be taking home $12,000 in Scholastic Awards, and right now, by a mile, it is Posick, Hush, and Stendo with a huge game last game. Very well played from them.
You have to think that it's becoming unable for other teams to pop off. They're gonna have to take down Posick, Hush, and Stendo earlier on. You can't let them make it to the end game because we've seen what they do. Their worst finish so far is third place. They've won 2 matches. Now it's starting to become a race for second place. We'll see how this turns out. Kaplor, Toastiest Waffles, Meepy able to jump back into the top 10 here with that previous match. And we see Siphon, Eagle, and Chankins making their way into the top 10 as well here.
Yeah, and look at that, second place. Wilgwo, Cooler Gamer, and King W coming from the University of Tennessee, Knoxville. Go Volunteers. They're in second place. They've been looking great. Let's take a look at the second page here. ZD Boomer, Zaz, and Omar in 17th place. Veggie, Cheater, A Season, and Tabchi in 11th as they break their way to the second page here on board. Now with Pinocchio, Ja Crispy, Smarty in 12th, all the way down, of course, to Dr. Duke, Micah, and Big River, who went from 20th to 19th. Some slight progress, but again, been a little bit tough based on the fact that they continue to fight that early fight at Boney Burbs. That'll continue to kind of plague them if they want a chance at top 10. It's obviously tough to split, but going into game number 5 here, obviously Posick and Co are looking great. Do you think any team has a chance to potentially take their spot, or do you think they're going to run away with it?
I think there's 2. There's really only 2 that have a shot, and that's going to be the guys from Bay State, as well as I believe it's Will Go and his trio are right up there in second place, both at about 190 points. But the only shot they really have is if Posick, Hush, and their third, sorry, I forget his name, is going down earlier on. These guys from Nova State community need to go down early to give somebody an opportunity. If they just continue to get top 5 placements, I mean, no one has a chance. Like, you just can't beat that if these guys are going to play their best. And they're doing so good today here, Fallout.
Yeah, that's true. Probably the only way that they have a chance to take first is either praying that they get taken out early or taking them out early yourself. I'm not sure if people are entirely aware, but, they do drop Lazy Lake. You could hot drop them. You could try and take things into your own control. You'll see if that's going to happen. Most likely not. If you don't see that happen too often, Lazy Lake will be dropped, will not be contested. They'll get Lazy Lake for free. Dirty Docks will go to the hands of the boys from Bay State. That's going to be Connor, Exceed, and Gage. And we're going to jump on board for the first time with Wilgwo, King, and Cooler Gamer over. We're getting Sweaty Sands uncontested. So no surprise here. All 3 teams in the top 3, not contested off the drop, and getting some pretty powerful POIs.
I'd say some of the best POIs that you can get on Con, as well as the surrounding areas. I mean, none of these guys have anyone landing even nearby. Just look at the map. Coral Castle, Shark, all of that area is completely uncontested. There is no one there. So we'll see if anyone decides to go up there. I am personally not a fan of that area. I think it's really hard to rotate out of that and do well in these tournaments, especially when you get some southern zones. But who knows? Maybe someone will see that space, make a difference. Or one of the Boney Burbs teams that we keep hinting at should probably get on out of there. Who knows?
Yeah, it's good to go somewhere else. That is for sure. Back on over. Just Sweaty Sands, just showing you a variety of POIs here, as these teams are going to be looting on early. And, this is the point where not a whole lot of early game fights, but again, these 2 teams are very proud. There's no way that either of them are going to back down over in the Boney Burbs. They've been fighting every single round so far. It's been Big River, Duke, and Micah who have had the advantage over the boys from Clemson. These guys are from Ashland University. They've won 3. They've lost 1 of the initials here at Boney Burbs.
And we'll have to see if this winds up being a all-in fight, or is this kind of just, no, these guys are going to fight. This is what's happened all day. Riv hits the big shots, just like his name says, the big ones coming through. Now Kep's going to hop in to that porta potty. Go ahead and move on out. And the fight's going to continue, though. Just because it didn't happen right away doesn't mean they're not all inning on this fight. Some shots coming through from Riv. He's got a nice angle to punish these guys and punishes both of them. Able to get the crack there on the Rocket Man. Has to be careful from their left side, as they know a third player is over there. And are the shots coming through? We've kind of stalemated here. Jake's gone down. Rocket Man waiting for his assistance. Dr. Duke looking to make his own plays.
Right. Micah down to 22 HP here. All members of this squad, no shields to their name. Rocket Man's going to get the first elim on Duke. All up to Big River. And to Micah. Micah's finally going to find some shields. River staying sneaky with it. Probably going to build, reveal his position. But again, not looking good. And this is exactly why we've been kind of harping on that point. Not dropping contested. You're guaranteed to lose close to 50%. That statistic might come through here. At this point, I just hope they continue to fight so we can see if it will be a 3-3 game after game 6. I just want to see how things shake up here and if my point's proven correctly.
Either way, I mean, neither team super high on the leaderboard. I think one of them is about 18th or so. I think Micah Riv, as they take down Kev, he's down. Rocket Man coming up next. Micah shows him, hey, I know who I am. I'm the double elim, man. Welcome. Woo! I'm actually taking down all 3. He's got all 3 of the elims.
You gotta be kidding me. Mike is going huge. I thought they were gonna lose it. I'd take that back. They end up on top. All right, kudos to them. They've been winning that fight consistently. They've been dominating that fight, to be honest with you. Good job to them. Meanwhile, we got jumping back over here with Woody Hunter back in their favorite spot, right above Tabji, Feji, and their teammate Ace Season. Always just seems to be kind of roaming in the distance. That split meta, you're right, is exactly what they're going for, but right now, not necessarily helping them, and Ace Season's going to get caught out. That's the 3v2 opportunity for Woody and co. Take that fight if they want to, or they could take the 3v1. They could take their numbers here. This is textbook esports right now for any competitive shooter. They decide to take their 3v1 opportunity. They're going to completely dive against Ace Season now.
And Ace Season's in a bad spot. He can't have a ton of materials. They're jumping straight on him. Looks like it's a 2v1 because Hunter's holding them off. Woody's actually going to go down, take some fall damage, and Bruston getting punished by the other players here. Looks like Ace Season's the one on the upper hand, as Hunter, Bruston, and Woody are now all on their back foot from what looked like a great position. Stumble and fumble. And now it's time for them to try and make a play to get out of the situation.
That's right. That's what's tough about Fortnite, right? It's, you know, yes, the conventional play is to take your 3v1. You have a numbers advantage, but in Fortnite, you as a single player can clutch up. You could survive. You could play defense. You could buy time for your teammates to get there, and you could completely turn what's a disadvantageous situation into an advantageous one. Exactly what happened here. Rustin, Hunter, and Woody in a pretty rough spot here. All up to Hunter and Woody now. One's going to go down. Hunter gets taken out. Rustin does as well. Woody last alive, and that might be all she wrote. Woody's going to get taken out to some fall damage as well.
Rip. Down they go. You know, not having the best start. They really only played their first game last game, but at least still competing. You got to respect it. There's prize money from 33rd all the way to first place, so even a few points is going to make a difference in what you're taking home in Scholastic prizing here today. Now we're checking in with Swim Coach Monkey, Josh Killa, and Bokami. Changed it up on me right as I was reading the names. Got me there. These guys back at Boney Burbs, making sure they want to get involved in this fight here at Boney. They heard there was a lot of fun happening. They wanted to get in the action.
Right. Boney Burbs has been the spot. It's been popping. You know, we got Lucky, Stemps, and M-Core nearby in the center part of the map here. As we see Swim Coach Monkey on board right now. 2 med kits, got the infantry rifle, making its return this season to competitive Fortnite. Much to Ninja's happiness, as we saw Ninja make a return to Fortnite the other day. It's great to see him playing again. On board now with Fluger, going to be popping that campfire, healing back up, resetting, and here we go, game 5. This is what you expect, right? Teams are starting to get a little more desperate, play more aggressive. Already down to 80 players remaining. This has been the most aggressive game we've seen so far.
It was a matter of time. I mean, we couldn't keep going up and up and up. We see another fight going on. Here's X-Ro, the man himself who had double-digit eliminations earlier today, and in an engagement. Looks like a third party. I believe there's 3 separate teams here that are involved. Swayward and Extro, 2 Elim. So I think it's a solo, a trio, and another trio out here on the edge, the outskirts of the map. We'll see how this plays out. I like Extro's squad's favor in this fight. They're jumping on a player, taking down one, waiting for that opportunity. A perfect connect there, scooping on the mats, getting on out of there, and welcome to the blender, sir.
78 players remain in this lobby. Might not even see an early storm surge here at this rate. This fight will persist over on Slurpy Swamp's southwest side of the map. Looks like we're gonna have another southwest zone. A lot of these zones have been pulling south today. Has been common. We'll see, of course, where this one ends up, though. Still a lot of Fortnite to be played in this game. 27 teams remaining. Talk about 6 teams already eliminated. Talk about an aggressive game number 5. As teams are starting to get more aggressive. Extro and Co. backing out and resetting out of this fight. Realizing, you know what, let's play inside. Let's be the first ones in so we can just gatekeep. And that's exactly what they'll do now, especially with that bow out. You're just going to let them rip.
I wonder if they've realized that there's a solo hiding in the middle of that fight somewhere.
Yep.
He's just sitting there on low ground. He's ratting down below, waiting for his opportunity to sneak on out. And now it's probably the time he can get on out of here, as we see Aces and Feji go down to the team rotating out of Holly. That's ideal, playing Gremlin and Co., who were able to take that. And some extra heals coming through for the boys, finding the big pots, the med kits, the minis, everyone stacking on up. And that solo making his way on out of there, following the duo ahead in his path.
Fortunately, that solo, he's going to have to get in the zone right to that team of 3, so it's looking a little scary for them. But I'm rooting for you, bud, whoever you are. I didn't see the gamer tag, so you can make it happen. Rotten Tomato gets a pick on M-Core. On board with 7, Mars and Beggs in contention for top 3 in this tournament after a huge game number 3, winning that one and putting themselves within the top 10. See what they can do here, as they have a pretty far rotation to make. Team nearby, gotta be a little bit careful for that squad, but they're ahead. They can continue to kind of keep them at bay, make this rotation through. They have a good loadout. The purple AR in the hands of Mars. I like what I'm seeing from them so far.
Here's Iconic. That solo still alive. He's got the bandies. Storm doesn't matter. He's rotating on past. Look at him.
What a legend.
Love it. Love it. Now we'll see.
Legend.
We'll have to see what he can do after he gets in Storm. I think that's going to be the question. Both of these trios that were fighting on the edge have appeared to disengage here. And now everyone focuses on the rotate. Looks like we're going towards Boney. That's where everyone wanted to be earlier on. That's where everyone wants to be right now, because that is where the zone is about to pull. It starts moving here, and this may be the first game we don't actually deal with Storm Surge. Going from a 90-man surge all the way down, we're at 75, and there's 2 minutes before it actually starts taking effect. So likely more will go down. As I say that, a player gets rebooted.
Yep. We'll have a little bit of Storm Surge action here, but not nearly as much as we've seen previously. On board now with Connor, Exceed, and Gage. They've been looking so great throughout this entire tournament so far. Been very, very impressed with how they've performed. Very consistent throughout as well. They are the crew from Bay State College up in Boston, Massachusetts, nearby. They find themselves rotating early, well above the damage threshold for Storm Surge. No reason to worry there. And this is a good opportunity for them. I think based on their positioning, it's a little too early to tell. They could find themselves another top 3 finisher.
They're in a good spot on this hill. Just hanging out, up and waiting. Surge, we see they're about 300 damage above, so whatever they've done on their rotates, they're in a good spot. Here's our other team that has a chance really to contest first place if they can take down Posick, Hush, and Stendo earlier on. If not, we're playing for second, so it'll be a battle between those two, and going for more of a split here instead of just simply basing up all in the same spot. Doing a strategy that we've seen from the likes of Booga, Bizzle, and Clicks, basing up in 3 different areas, holding some more ground, giving yourself a shot to get zone and just hold more area just in case zone doesn't pull your way. We'll see where that winds up playing out. One player does get knocked. That's going to be Bukami. So Storm Surge is going to play a factor, but not as big of a one as we've seen in the previous games.
We're now with Jock Crispy, which, by the way, probably my favorite gamer tag entire competition. Jock Crispy. I don't know why, but I like it. From University of Delaware alongside Smarty and Pinocchio. They currently are going to be boxed in. Not going to be taking any of these fights. I don't think they need to a Storm Surge. We'll find out if we switch them here in a second. Not sure where they're at. As I say that, yep, they are well above Storm Surge. They should be okay. At least for now. Looks like we'll be getting a near Boney Burbs type of finish here. And again, yes, that's where the Storm's been running up. I think that blue team at the top right of the minimap right there, I think, was Exceed and Connor engage, and I think that puts them in a great position. I'm not sure for certain. We'll, of course, get that confirmation, but in a pretty good spot here for this game to have another pop off and potentially contest Posick and go for a top finish in the end. But again, that all relies on Posick, Hush, and Stendo having a bad game, which is just hard to imagine at this point. They've been playing so good.
Yeah, you really have to think that they're just going to continue to take this. Something drastic would have to happen. And we do see Surge taking effect here. One more player's got to go down. Connor's in a really good spot, basically center of third zone, along with Gage and Exceed. Everyone else has to make the rotate. Looking like it's going to be a pretty compacted south side of the zone. A few players up on that north side. No one wants to be on the east side of the river as we see Gage punishing some players on the rotates. That's Will Go, King, and Cool Gamer trying to make that rotate, but getting punished a little bit, taking some tags, nothing serious, as we see what Gage is looking at from his POV.
Right. Storm Surge wrapping up here as Fluger we get taken out to that Storm Surge. Rest in peace, my friend. We're now with Gage with the bow. A lot of bow action we've seen so far in this tournament. Stinky trying to do some craziness, maybe get a headshot. That'd be good. I'll give an opportunity to play for that three-person or full team wipe. We'll see if they do that. Nope. Instead, they're gonna back out and reset. Speedy 23 takes out Badge. We saw Speedy's team actually hold high ground a couple games ago before ending up actually losing it. I think that was Speedy and Jelly in the game against Posick. This time, we'll see if they can maintain high ground. Extro taking out Hinsey. Jelly taking out Badge. So, yep, it is Speedy and Jelly as one squad. We'll keep an eye on them. In the Elim feed, they wrap that one up. Good job to them. Pick up a few Elims. Do one for Speedy. And we'll see how they will fare in this late game. If they can have another solid showing, they might be able to break into the top 10 themselves.
Yeah, they're not too far away yet. I would expect them, if they continue to make these end games in the final two matches here, to have a really solid performance. Again, like we've talked about, just because you can't make first place doesn't mean that every single placement after that is not significant. So still a lot to play for all these trios. We're looking down on Coach DDT, who's getting tagged up as this trio is looking for some pressure, some additional surge tags. We've got a few seconds to see where this fourth zone's going to pull. And it'll tell us a story. Tell us the story of where the lobby's going to go. And it looks like Connor is in the best position here. Jelly using that extra metal from the Elim to tarp on forward, get themselves as far ahead in zone as they can. And then gonna just have to do the left on the left foot, right foot express. They do have the peppers, but you still got to left foot, right foot it either way, even if you're going a little faster.
Jelly, Speedy, and Mackle looking to go back-to-back top two finishes here on board with Jelly right now. Making their rotation into zone, early rotation. Now they're going to set up and find if he can gatekeep. Maybe get a couple Elims as others are rotating in. How they continue to play it. Love to keep an eye on Posick and Hush as well to see where they find themselves, because that is the key. Will Posick, Hush, and Stendo get taken out? It's their second place team. Wilguo, Cooler Gamer, and King. Good to check in with them as well. They're currently rotated in circle. They find themselves in a late game favorable moment, but 67 players alive right now. It certainly is anyone's game. Lots to play here, and anything can certainly happen. Ideal play right nearby alongside a Complex. I think they're coming from one of our Canadian schools. I'll confirm that. We have two Canadian teams, I believe I checked, coming into this one. And yes, no, I take that back there. Miami University of Ohio. So we'll keep a close eye on them. And we got Gage, Exceed, and Connor alive. They've been well positioned throughout, and they are actually in the highest point of the game right now, in a good position to hold ultimate high ground, depending on where this circle rotates to.
And we do see our leaders in Stendo, Hush, Posick still alive there. Over on this bottom southwest corner of zone here. They're putting some pressure on, bullying some teams down below them. I wouldn't want to be that team down below because the pressure continues there by these guys. If they see an opening, they're going to take it, and they're just continuing that triple spray. Coach DDT can react in time, but gets tagged twice. He's down to 1 HP, does get knocked there. That's Ranster helping out here with the lobby pressure. Now, Stendo, Hush, Posick, just gonna relax, take a little rest here, and see where this next zone's gonna pull. A lot of these teams understand that zone is a big factor. Actually, as I say that, they're like, hey, no, let's go get some more elims here. There's potential pressures, there's potential points, and this Heights down below is not very high right now. He's down bad.
Yeah, poor Heights and his entire team just getting absolutely focused by the entire lobby. And as a result, Heights last one alive for his squad. 106 below the Storm Surge threshold as well. And yeah, goodbye and good night. Holy gets the final elimination there. So Posick, Stendo, and Hush didn't get an elimination, but they got the damage that they needed to stay above Storm Surge. They're managing their Storm Surge well, at least for now. I have to change that up here momentarily. So far, so good for them. All they gotta do is make it to late game. They can place top 5, top 3 in placement. They're in a good spot, but they are very close to being below that threshold. Gotta be careful.
5 more teams need to go down. We see Toastiest Waffles able to pick up a knock and the elimination. Cool Gamer went down. So that trio that was in second place, at least without one of their members, might have seen another one go down. So it could just be a solo play, or that whole trio just got knocked out. Looks like Mars picks up Pinocchio. Exro getting some more elims. That's what he does best. 10 elims last game, already a couple here today. And look at that high ground position. They are so high up there, making it very difficult for these rotates. And the later you go, the harder it becomes. We see Hush tarping ahead, trying to get his team into a position to get into this zone. Will Go is still alive, so he's going to have to solo clutch if he wants to make a play here in this 5th game. Not in the best of positions, but still alive is better than most as we move down to the final 18 trios.
That's right. So our second place team now at risk of slipping, unless Wilgo can go huge in this late game as a solo, rat his way to a top finish is the big question. Can he stay sneaky? If they don't want to take and engage in any fights right now, there's Jokilla on screen in front of us. That is the individual from one of our Toronto-based Canadian universities, York University. Big shout out to our 2 Canadian schools and our Canadian competitors today. PlayVS, of course, supporting both America and Canada, all of North America in collegiate Fortnite, as well as high school Fortnite and other games. Great to see PlayVS continue to grow. Meanwhile, back on board here with Toastiest of Waffles, the toastiest of all waffles. Winners of game number 1. Then have kind of slipped a little bit, but looking to bounce back. Mackle, second place last game, gets an elimination. Capilor is going to get taken out here. So all up to Meepy and Toastiest.
These guys have been doing pretty well in these back half of games. We see them still alive. Connor's gone down, so now it's up to Gage and Exceed. What can they do as a duo? He's gonna grab the body, try and throw it in the zone. Being a good teammate, takes a little pop shot there at high ground. That's 7 Begs and Mars. He actually does get the knock. I don't think Gage expected that because he just kept going. Might have tried to play height if he knew that was happening. We see Sleaze taking down 7, so maybe another team contesting there up on high in this trio, or duo should I say, on this mid-ground layer as 7 gets the full elim onto Connor. Goes down, and now Gage jumping into a box here on the Sirius, looking for some more elims. He's already got 1, wants a second. Ooh. Call it a 2, and now they continue to roll through as Exceed is gone. It's all up to Gage here.
Yep, Gage last alive for his team. 27 players left in this lobby. Mackle DeMarco continues to go huge. That must be a Lin 5 or 6 for Mackle. I believe it's a teammate of Jelly, who got second place in the last game. Don't quote me on that. We'll confirm that. Posick nearby, you see on screen. And this end game is going to be quite insane because we've had a lot of our top teams get taken out already. I'm excited to see what will happen here. Speedster, Mackle, and Jelly from Carnegie Mellon University, a very, very prominent U.S. university. Big shot to them. Derpy is fishing. Texas A&M gets 3 eliminations single-handedly. Great job from Derpy. Jelly and Mackle on high ground, but they're going to lose it actually to Derpy and co. Great job from them.
The fishing crew able to hold the high ground. We see Extro picking up Meepy. Posick gets the double elimination there on the Bags and Mars. They're once again in a top 10 situation. Jelly and Mackle trying their best to clutch it up as a duo here. Looks like a full trio there for Posick, Hush, and Stendo. Yes, it is. They're going for some more elims. That's Swayward, Extro. This trio frags out, but doesn't matter. Stendo, Hush, Posick clutching up these final moments. X-Row looking to stay alive. He wants all the frags, but it doesn't matter at this moment. Jenkins goes down. The Eagle goes down to Doinks, and that's going to be multiple elims there. Gage still alive as a solo, picking up those points as we see a trio jumping in. That's Posick's trio going down. It's Jelly and Mackle that are taking them down, but it doesn't matter. Posick wants all the sauce. You take down my teammate, I take you out. But no, Gage takes down Posick, and this could be the opportunity Gage needs. If he could win this game, this is going to be gaining some traction, gaining some points on that first place trio.
Yeah, that'll decrease the deficit for sure. So nice shot from Gage, but Posick, what you just did right there was disgusting. I love watching this man play competitive Fortnite. Derpy and Dylan, the duo from Texas A&M, alongside Arrow, their trio on high ground. Gage going to get yet another elim. Keep looking at the bottom right of your screen because this man, Gage, is on an absolute rampage. Finally gets shut down, unfortunately, to the Storm right there. But two teams remain, 5 players total. It's Swayward and X-Row versus the Texas A&M boys, Dylan, Derpy, and Arrow.
And the low ground team typically is at the disadvantage. They do go down. A nice game there by Dylan, Derpy, and Arrow to take that match, putting themselves up the leaderboards. But I mean, bro, X-Row, another 10 elimination game. My guy is fragging out here in these final few matches.
Absolutely showing up, showing what he's made of. Kudos to X-Row, but really Gage was a huge star of the show right there in the late game. Kudos and nice job to Gage to keep his team alive, and that'll help a little bit with the fact that Posick, Hush, and Stendo made it to the top 7. Again, it's just going to give them so many points. They got a couple elims as well. They were just looking great. This is really where it all began for Gage. Take a look at his elim count, 0. Okay, take a look at his elim count at the end of this. There's 1. The Gage elim counter continues to roll. There's 2. Gage continued to pop off here towards the late game. I believe ended up with 5. This is where Stendo, Hush, and Posick got pushed. Posick with the disgusting plays, jumping straight into the box of Mackle and finishing that one before finally getting shut down from Gage.
And then we see Swayward, Extra on the final end of this, looking to make a play on the low ground, but it is not their game to win. This is Arrow, Dylan, and Derpy taking the dub in Game 5, 140 points. Not insignificant by any means. That should put them up near the top 20, and we should see these guys rising up the leaderboards, looking to claim those scholarships available.
Absolutely. Every placement counts because, of course, prize pool pays all the way down the prize pool or the leaderboards and the standings. And speaking of which, we're going to have the standings and Game 6, our final game of the tournament. The PlayVS Championship has been great to watch so far. We'll have the standings and more when we come back after a short break. Game 6 is here, the illustrious Game 6 that we all know and love in competitive Fortnite tournaments. I am so excited to see who will be the winner of this tournament. Before we jump into Game 6, we got to take a look at the standings here to see how things are shaking out. And as we expected, a significant lead, but not as significant as it was, as Gage goes huge in game number 2 to put themselves in the running for potential first place finish here. It's a 2-horse race is what it seems like. However, keep in mind that battle for second with Jelly, Mackle, and Speedy is right there as well as Wilguo, Cooler Gamer, King, Mars 7, Beggs, OTP, Sway, and Xro, honestly all in contention for potential second place finish here as well.
This is what you want from a final match. You have multiple teams fighting for that spot, every single place there. Especially the second place is so close, and then that top 3, really the top 10 is going to be open for anyone.
That's right. I'm excited to see who will be contesting for that top 10 as well. Let's take a look here. You got Berkey, Stinky, and whoever the final player is, who you can find on YouTube, by the way, in 11th place. Veggie, A-Season, and Tabchi in 12th, right behind them. You got Ja Crispy, my favorite gamer tag in this tournament, hands down. Dylan is fishing, and Derpy is fishing, alongside Arrow in 15th place. That was a huge first place win for them, and so many elims. They absolutely popped off in that game. That puts them in contention for top 10 here, if they can do it again here in this last game, which honestly, based on the momentum, I think they certainly could hear somebody's gun.
I think they can as well, and there's a $500 difference between 20th to 10th place. So if you're able to make that jump in this last game, that is a significant chunk of cash. I know you're splitting it 3 ways, but either way, you have to want it in this final game. We'll have to see, is anyone really switching it up? We know that Shark and Coral were completely uncon. No one was up in that top left corner of the map. We've been watching Bony Burbs go at it every single game. I know you want to see it happen one more time, but you know, maybe someone sees that it's wide open in the top left corner.
Yeah, you might want to take the spot that is completely uncontested as opposed to fighting what is relatively 50-50 fight every single game. So we'll see how things are going to shake up. We know that a lot of our teams that are in contention, Gage, Exceed, and Connor have been dropping by themselves Dirty Docks. We know that our first place team, Postic, Hush, Stendo, have been dropping Lazy Lake. We know that our top fourth place team has been dropping uncontested and Sweaty Sand. So many different locations, so many different POIs that have been completely uncontested, which is why we're really seeing this be so top heavy with the teams that are dropping in these powerhouse POIs, SMG.
Oh, 100%. And hey, maybe if you're Connor's trio, do you go try and fight Postic's trio off spawn to give yourself a chance for that first place? Or are you just going to hope that you can take it in the end game? And it does look like no one's doing any funny business. No one's trying anything differently. We're going to wind up playing this for the end game here. Postic, Stendo, Hush, going to have a wonderful time taking all of their loot and Lazy. And man, it's going to be hard to take them down considering they've been doing this all day. You got to do something special here in this final match. As we see once again the Bony Burbs. That's where it's at today. Like 6 out of 6 fights. Let's see which way it goes.
That's right. Every team just wants to play their game. They're comfortable. They feel good about how they've been playing so far, and they're going to stick to their guns here. So it's going to come down to who can make it to late game, who can avoid early fights, who can play errorless, right? And honestly, the most errorless team so far has been Posick, Hush, and Stendo. You talk about their average placement. You talk about their consistency. Their average placement was second going into Game 5. Now their average placement is 2.8. It's insane how good they've been playing with an average elim of 8 eliminations. They are number 1 in both categories. Right behind them is OTP, Swayward, and Extra with 6.6 average elim per game. It is insane what they've been doing.
Dropping the knowledge, and those guys are dropping the elims. Now we see Connor's trio just looting up, doing your thing. This is what you guys always do. You play Fortnite. You gotta hit your pickaxe on some things, open some chests, grab the materials, grab all that good stuff, and we get to see, looks like Riv, Mika, and Dr. Duke are the winners of Game 6. So I don't know if you were keeping score, Fallout, but if you were...
5-1. 5-1. They dominated. They dominated.
Okay. Easy.
Easy for them, but not necessarily easy for their standings and their chances of doing well in this tournament. They're in 18th place right now, though, so kudos to them. They've been really winning a lot of these initial fights. They've been really sticking it to them and dominating. Again, I'm always very vocal. You are 13. You have an 87% chance to win a game if you drop uncontested, and a 13% chance to win a game or a tournament if you drop contested. So the statistics certainly don't lie, and that's why I think we see them, even though they've been playing very skillfully, in 18th place. That early game fight's kind of setting them a little bit further back, but excited to see what they can do this game. They won that pretty quickly. They can now loot up. They can now chill a little bit. We'll see if they can have a pop-off game and break into the top 10.
Yeah, it's probably the cleanest off-spawn fight we've seen, and now we check out another off-spawn fight. Omar, Boomer, and Zas started off hot. We're in our top 10 early on, and now seem to have fallen off here. It's going to be up to these guys to clutch it up, but we do see the pressure coming through. Not the best of loadouts here from Boomer on the Pepper. Might be able to make a play for high ground. Zas, they're all playing as solos. This is likely not a good situation when all 3 players are playing as solos. Gremlin on the wall here. Down goes Omar. Zas is looking down bad. Boomer 67 total HP, and this is all but a hope and a dream here for these guys.
Complex ideal play, and Steve Gremlin have been looking great in early game fights. They've been aggressive. They've played very well as a team, and they've come out on top in almost the vast majority of them. Looks like they'll have an opportunity to do so again here. You got Zaz and Boomer quite literally backs against the wall. The pinch is coming through, and just like that, goodbye and good night for the ZD crew. Thank you for playing what has been an entertaining tournament so far, and of course it was fun to watch ZD in our solos competition last time as well. I think they were a West Coast team if I remember correctly, so not sure what servers we're playing on here, but nonetheless they might be playing on far servers in a far distance, and they showed up great in both tournaments, so kudos to them.
Yeah, can confirm that they were the West players. They're actually from UCLA, so on high ping, had a good start. Like I said, might be a little more difficult to keep it going. Now we see another fight. This is iconic down at Cape Cod. The underrated POI as far as the materials, the upgrade, and the different mechanical parts you can get. Although I think it's properly rated because the rotates out of here are not good.
Yeah, very difficult rotation. One of the hardest places to rotate out of, hardest POIs are locations. Now jump aboard with Shift against Feji, Habchi, and a season or other Canadian squad, I believe, who is from McMaster University up in Canada. Swerved, Jelly nearby, as it looks like 29 Swerved. Hold the high ground alongside Gingy the Forehead. You see on screen right now, Feji alone and trapped, as Feji's teammates are just going to have to try and dipset, leaving Feji alone by his lonesome in this fight. Looking a little scary, a little bleak for Feji.
Gotta feel bad for Feji and Trio. They've had a battle this entire time at this non-named POI, and it's been 3 different trios that have tried to contest them for this space. I mean, I know it's a decent spot. You could get that purple pump shotgun, but it is not that good, as Feji looking like he's going to go down here. No materials left. We see another fight happening outside of Retail Row. So this final match, everyone's trying to make a move, trying to make a play, as Cut, Crater, and Sash right outside of that top 10. I believe they were in 11th or 12th heading into this match. So have an opportunity to push themselves just a little bit further up the leaderboard. Like I said, there's a pretty significant difference between 20th to 10th. So these guys looking to make some plays here and get themselves up the leaderboard. Strap on the edge. Here is Badge on the other side as well. And Crater and Co. not giving up this high ground. They want to keep this, own this fight, control what's going on, and let these guys make a mistake.
Yeah, Crater cut Sergeant from the University of Akron in Ohio, one of our few Ohio teams. We also had Miami University of Ohio represented in this tournament. Let's see what they will do against the Georgia Tech crew. Good shots from the left there is Crater's going to tag up Chang at least for a little bit, 31 damage, but right now, pretty even fight overall. This can go anyone's way.
They can, and they do find Badge out, but Crater unable to hit those shots. Oh, but the shots come
There's that
through
flank.
on the
I'm
Crater.
telling you. A good old-fashioned flank. Me as a boomer, that's all I can do in Fortnite now is just a good old-fashioned flank. We saw G-Strap get ready.
Hey, sometimes strategy is better than mechanics. Someone who's very well known for his success is Zate, and he has his own flank that he's been able to successfully convert on multiple times, just sneaking around and punishing players, much like Strap just did there. Now, Strap is cut all by himself. The flank works for a second. You gotta recover after that one there fallout.
Yeah. Exactly. Flank is good for a quick second. Your teammates need to follow through on that, and you can't get stuck in no man's land, which unfortunately happened right there for Strap. But yep, you're spot on. That's one thing I love about watching Zate. You know, it's not just his mechanics. He's known for his incredible game sense, his knowledge of how to outplay other players, outposition, outmaneuver, and honestly, that's some stuff you just can't teach sometimes. So, always fun watching Zate and some of these top players play, just as much as it's been watching these collegiate players play. As we had a chance to put new names on the map, some universities on the map. We've had University of Wisconsin, Milwaukee. We haven't talked a whole lot about. University of Western Ontario, another Canadian university we haven't talked a whole lot about. And as we mentioned earlier, Michigan State University, and on the map as well.
Some more fights happening around the map. Control, Harsh, and AJ taking a fight here in this mid game. We do see the zone pulling south once again. Might be getting our Misty zones that have been famous here in this finals for trios. And Crater, Sash, Cut still in the same engagement. So Retail outside of Boney and Weeping. Sash able to pick up that elim. That's the end of that fight. Control is going to go down. We're switching back and forth between these two. Harsh is all by himself. AJ is not here with him. Can Harsh clutch this up and take the win? He does get back with his teammate. Unfortunately, and it's right into an opponent's box. Now it's all up to Harsh and AJ King, but AJ King goes down. Stemps is quite weak. Harsh looking to make a play, takes the high ground. Another team rolling in. That's Woody, Hunter, and Rustin. Harsh takes some shots, let him know, hey, I see you guys coming in, but I don't think that's going to prevent a full push here after that fight just happened.
That's right. Woody and Co. know that he's probably pretty low in overall materials, low in shields, and this is an easy elimination and some easy points. I gotta say kudos to Woody and them. They had some internet issues, couldn't load in the first few games. Rather than just quitting, they said, you know what, let's keep playing and let's make it a good competition here. Let's give it our all in every single game. It's just been fun to watch. So again, big shout to Woody, Michigan State doctor. You see, he got his doctorates, which is darn impressive. And wishing you the best in your career, Woody. As you got right now, gold AR in your hands, blue pump. Tons of heals and a good opportunity to go big in this game. I'd love to see him win this one. That'd be a great way to go out.
Yeah, you know I have a personal rooting interest in them, so I would hope they win this game as well. We'll see how it goes. I mean, this has got to be the best that they've looked off Spawn so far. So these guys now on their way in the zone. Second zone pops. 72 players alive. We might see another boot happen, but likely not going to see the surge happen like we have in the past. I mean, that 90-man surge that we saw back in game 3 or game 4, I believe, was absolutely ridiculous. I'm not sure that I've seen that in most, if any, tournaments previously.
Yeah, it was insane. Only 8 or 9 players taken out within the first few minutes of the game. It goes to show how competitive this lobby really, really is. We've had some stacked late games, some crazy late games, and despite all of that, I think we've seen so much consistency from our top teams. It's just darn impressive. Really goes to show how talented they truly are. It's been fun to watch these teams compete. Connor announced he's going to be, retiring for now from competitive Fortnite. Might be one of his last hurrahs, so it's been fun to watch Connor do his thing. And speaking of which, we got to watch Posek, the most impressive player in the PlayVS series so far, has absolutely dominated with the championship in NA East for solos, and looking to get another championship, looking to go back-to-back in trios.
And we see might have to get some surge damage here. Just looking like a tag or two. Nothing crazy, and this trio should be fine. That would be really the only way that they fall, I believe, is going to be to surge issues if something goes down where they have to jump in and take a 50-50. And we see Jelly, Speedy, and Markle in a really good spot here as another team right below them, Connor, Exceed, and Gage. So second and third place right next to each other currently, with Posick down there and Retail, our top three within eye shot of each other.
Might make for some interesting rotations. Something tells me these teams will know how to avoid a fight. A shot from Hush and Posek, recognizing, hey, we got to make sure we avoid this damage threshold situation, the storm surge situation. Finding themselves in an early engage, but you're right. This is where things could get a little interesting because these box fights can, honestly, flip the coin sometimes. Obviously, when you have a significant mechanical advantage, it wouldn't necessarily be a flip of a coin. You should have the advantage, which I think, Posek, great box fighter, certainly finds himself in favorable positions in box fights, especially against a team that's on their back foot.
And they're able to get above, so it's not really going to be an issue. Now it's just a matter of, do they push this? They were able to get significant damage. Do they want to go for the elim, or are they just going to take the damage, walk away, be happy with it? And it looks like the AR spray, the SMG spray coming from these two is going to be enough. And they're going to try and pressure them a little longer. I don't know how much longer you want to do this. You want to save some ammo. As Hush out here looking for some additional tags. Will go King, Cool Gamer looking quite weak on the outside of Storm, and it does look like one of them gets knocked. Cool Gamer's knocked. He's in a bad spot, so one of our top 5 teams not in the best position here with no heals to make themselves even better. As I say that, the med kit is dropped, but that is the last heal available.
That's in the hands of Derpy. Part of the fishing crew, Texas A&M organization, who went huge in game number 5. They're continuing that momentum into game 6. Can they go back-to-back? That'd be insane. And that might actually break them into the top 7. We will see. Top 10, certainly, if they have a big game here. But we know this has been a pretty top-heavy standings and a top-heavy lobby, right? From second place, Connor, Exceed, Gage, 255, all the way to 7th, actually even further. To 10th place, 180 points, and a huge drop off to 158. Dylan, Derby, 140 points. They're quite behind, but they got to have a big game here, which they certainly could do. Speaking of which, Stendo is going to actually go down. That is huge. Stendo from our number 1 team is currently knocked. Posick and Hush have to try and survive, keep their teammate alive, which they certainly have been here before. Let's see if they can do it again.
It's very tough to see. We're looking for those opportunities, trying to find a way for another team to come back and come up. That's going to be it. And now we see that team up there on the spire, able to punish anyone trying to make rotates. They are able to get Stendo back up. He's healing. They have the heals to really negate any kind of damage that was done. Hush getting pressured from below, so not in the most comfortable position, but where they should be. Now putting some pressure back on to cut, making sure, hey, man, we see you. We know what you're doing. Let's cut it out. Let's relax. Let's play some position, some placement here. Oh, and Stendo taking some shots there. They may have angered the beast. You don't want to do this.
Stendo, you're nasty with it. Great edits, great shots going to be put through right there, and you're right. They clearly upset this team, but again, I think they're going to have the wherewithal, the comedy in the situation to say, you know what, let's just relax. I know we want to take this fight for our ego's sake, but we shouldn't. We got to make it to late game. We make it to late game, we win the $12,000 prize pool in Scholastic prizes as part of the first place finish. $42,000 total in Scholastic prizes for this entire tournament. I like the fact that they have the wherewithal to calm down right there, calm their emotions, calm their adrenaline, not push.
Hey, that's better than me. I probably make the emotional play there. You're getting sprayed. Even though you did just spray that trio for like a minute straight, you get sprayed back. Sometimes emotions get the best of you. Now we check in with another team. Oh, man, these guys, Gremlin, Complex, ideal play. Right here on the outskirts of the top 5, I believe. On the outside looking in, so definitely within top 10 range. and in a good spot. Already 7 eliminations, so in a really, really healthy position. Likely looking for some more elims. They want to make a push further up the leaderboard. Is Gremlin going for it? These plays, getting some shots there, and he pays for that. Now he's got to get out.
Complex, ideal play Gremlin from Miami University of Ohio. Has been playing well. Been really impressed. Been enjoying watching their gameplay. Early game fights, handling it well, working very well as a team. 4 eliminations for ideal play right now, making the ideal play in game 6. Pun certainly intended. As this squad's been looking good. 62 players remain in this lobby. We'll likely see some more storm surges. Yes, there's been a lot more early game action, but now that we're getting down to this sweaty part of the late game, this is where things really slow down. Everyone's being super cautious. Thanks for Siphon and the Eagle. Oh my god, beautiful. Brilliant shot right there from King. You gotta be kidding me with the bow long range. But that's the teammates of Chenkins, who is in 10th place. And I believe they're down to just 1 player left.
They need some of that refresh there. I mean, they're probably going to look to make a play to go grab it if they can. Wilgo has the harpoon to go extend out a little further than your physical reach. He is trying to grab those materials, wants to get all that, but winds up paying for it. They're getting sprayed, can't hold for too long. And now that trio up above says, hey, we know what you're trying to do, get out of there. But it looks like they were able to grab at least a little bit, as the minis are shared there with Will Go. And at least a little bit of materials in a better spot than they were before, even after getting punished. We take a look at what King is doing. And now we'll wait to see. 30 seconds until this 5th zone pops. Already 2 very high positions, natural high ground within this zone.
Right. That must be a frustrating feeling. It's like, we're just trying to get some loot. Can we please get the loot that we deserve? I just hit a nasty headshot. I deserve it at this point. Look at the damage above right now that Ideal Play, Complex, and Gremlin are at. 1,800 damage above. They've put in so much work in this game. It's insane. On the flip side, Posick, Stendo, and Hush. If there's one game that they wanted to maintain that consistency, certainly it would have been game 6. Meanwhile, Connor gets 2 eliminations, so gotta be a little careful. They will survive the Storm Surge, and they are just surviving in general. That's been the theme of their game 6. If they make it to another top 7, top 5 finish here, they will secure themselves a first place spot. That will be beyond impressed because they've been under so much pressure this whole game. Playing off their back foot, they got knocked earlier, and they've just survived.
Connor already 3 eliminations. They've gotten themselves safely into this zone. Now going to look back, try and get some potential elims on anyone looking to make this rotate. Beggs picks one up. We see they're looking down at Gremlin, so right above Gremlin, Complex, and Ideal Play is going to be Connor. They're looking to drop someone right next to them. Not going to connect on that, and need to be careful. They're not safely in zone. They're right next to a mountain. You probably want to play more of an elevated position than this. But I guess this is where they're forcing to be played, as you check in with Posick, who's also going to play a similar layer here. Not ideal. This is not the ideal play.
Yeah, they've been left in the less than ideal situation this whole game, so it's just unfortunate. You got to sometimes deal with the cards that you've been dealt, and they're doing right now, and they've been dealing well. You know, they're staying alive in this game very, very well. I continue to be impressed. And what, you know, it's not just about what you do with an opportune situation, it's what you do with a less than opportune situation, and they're certainly showing up great. But we'll see how long they can maintain that, because look at their HP right now. Stendo literally living with 1 HP in a dream. You could breathe on him and he'd get knocked. Insane that he's still alive right now. Hush getting tagged up quite a bit as well. Will get knocked, and it's going to be scary right now. People will see that in the elim feed. People will know it's the #1 team, and they might get pushed.
See Hush fully eliminated there. They're going to scoop up some of the mats, but it looks like everything might be grabbed soon. Posick trying to grab that without exposing himself too much. He wants the materials. We see Speedy able to pick up elims. They were in the top 5 as well, fighting for one of those spots in top 17 now. This is where we're really going to see those placement points rack up. These moving zones, not many players survive this. We have Will Go right on the wall here, sitting in a cone next to Posick. He might make a play. Posick is one pumpable, if I've ever seen one, and he's looking right at him. Posick does close it off, and these guys are going to look towards the backside of Storm for a play.
Right, they need a siphon, they need a refresh, they need something. 331 damage below the Storm Surge threshold as well. It is looking scary for them. They've tried to survive as long as they can. Find some damage. They need elims. They need elims so bad. 2 HP for Stendo. Again, and just a shot in the toenail will knock him. But he's leading the charge here, playing with just as much confidence, which you like to see in some of these situations. Stendo's still alive. Posic's still alive. We got 17 teams alive. Cut's going to get knocked. I still believe we have our second place team, Connor, Exceed, Gage, alive and well. Jelly, Mackle, Speedy. Haven't seen them in some time. We'll keep a close eye on the Elim feed. And finally, that's going to be it. Goodbye for Posic and Stendo. And now it means that we have Elite Connor, Exceed, and Gage, who need to have a huge game to win this tournament. Can they do it? That is the question. They have high ground. They are well positioned, actually mid ground here, with a few elims. They got to pop off.
They already have 5, but likely going to need many, many more. Looks like Woody, Justin, Hunter go down in the elimination feed. Connor popping the medkit. Gage looking up at high ground. That's Mars, Beggs, and 7 up there. They're a team that is more than capable of holding that position. Gage wants it. He's going to make a play. Quickly shunned off by that high ground team and can continue to play this mid ground. Looking for some more potential elims. Exceed gets one on OTP. 7 getting contested. Connor's making a play behind them in Storm, and it looks like they've taken height. Gage fighting Bags on the front side, and Exceed continues to crank up. They've claimed height. Connor has stolen the high ground from Bags' trio.
They are single-handedly securing themselves this game with individual plays. Gage just went huge. What he just did to take high ground and embarrass Beggs in that fight was disgusting. What a play right there from Gage. Huge, huge performance. That wasn't really what Beggs did wrong. It was just what Gage did so right. I am so beyond impressed by this trio right now. Connor, Gage, Exceed. We said they have to have a huge game. They knew they had to take the high ground, get those elims. They have high ground now, and they can walk their way into a first place finish, but they need elims.
Oh, and then he jumps into the box with 2 players. Is he going to be able to escape? He's down. No, he does go down. Gage is able to pick up Mars. That's huge. That's another elim. So maybe as a duo, they're going to have to clutch this up. 317 total points when we last checked in with Stendo and Hush, as well as Posic. It was at least 350. So we need quite a few more points if we want it here. Only 4 trios remaining. Exceed. Gage, what are you going to do? Can you clutch it up and take home the win?
What a finish this has been to a historic PlayVS spring season. It's been so much fun to watch all season long, and it all comes down to this. Exceed, Gage, team of 2 against 3 other trios, and of course impartial teams in this one. On board with Jelly, Mackle, and Speedy, your 3rd place team right behind them. We're going to be looking to take that 2nd place spot if they can. They're going to take some damage against Dylan, our winners from last game, who get knocked as well.
And Mackle now inside of Storm getting punished. Looks like Exceed is able to pick up multiple elims there. They're at 320. Looks like this is the last player remaining. It's Mackle versus Exceed and Gage. I don't think they have enough, but they take the win anyway. They did everything in their power to try and grab the victory. 334 total points. Is it enough?
That is the question. What a showing. I don't know if it will be enough. I think Posic and Co did just enough to inch by to get the points that they need. They had such an advantage. They played well, but we'll see, honestly, that is more than they had, of course. 332 points going into that, so they're over that initial threshold. Question was, how many points did Posic, Hush, and Stendo get? I think they got a few elims, but we saw so much in this game 6 SMG. We saw ridiculous plays, that headshot right there with the bow. We saw Gage with a disgusting retake of high ground. We saw an immaculate, an amazing game number 6 here. I loved it.
Man, they did everything in their power to try and take that. We'll have to see if it's close enough. Even grabbing the victory royale, double-digit elims in that final match. I mean, you can't ask for more. At very minimum, they've secured 2nd place.
And at very minimum, they did absolutely everything they could to put on a show for us and everyone watching at home. Kudos to them. The crew goes big in Game 6. The question is it enough? We're going to have the standings. We're going to reveal the winners of your PlayVS Spring 21 Collegiate Championship right after this. What a day and what a tournament it has been. It certainly has lived up to the hype as the PlayVS Spring 21 Collegiate Championship comes to an end for our trios competition. And guess what? We do have the standings ready. Let's go ahead and take a look and reveal your winners of the PlayVS Spring 21 Championship will be Posick, Hush, and Stendo. Posick goes back-to-back, and they will take home the first place $12,000 prize. Congratulations to them from Northern Virginia Community College. They go huge in all 6 games to perform, but I got to say my hat goes off to Connor, Exceed, and Gage for putting on a show and making things interesting in Game 6.
Yeah, both trios put it on for us and gave us something to watch, kept us on the edge of our seats, but a lot of other trios stepped up here. Jelly, Mackle, Speedy, really popping off in the final half of those games to put themselves in 3rd place. Mars, 7, Bags there in 4th, and then Ideal Play, McComplex, Gremlin able to secure that 5th place with Swim Coach Monkey, Okami, and Joskilla there in 6th. What a day. And our Elim Kings, our OTP Swayward and Xro there in 7th place. Well done by literally everyone. What a day here.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And look at that. Arrow, Dylan, and Derpy will break into the top 9. Texas A&M stand up with a huge Game 5 and Game 6. They showed up and clutched up, showing that they got ice in their veins in Games 5 and 6. And off the top of my head here, first place, Posick, Hush, Stendo, coming from Northern Virginia Community College. Second place, Connor, Exceed, Gage, Bay State near Boston, Jelly, Mackle, and Speedy, Carnegie Mellon. Brilliant individuals, and they showed up huge here. 4th place, Mars, 7, and Co. They continue to make their organization, their community proud and their college proud as well. Let's take a look at the second page here. You'll see a couple more teams. Sirius, Lasix, and Junie work their way up the standings. Pinocchio, Jock Crispy, Smarty. Thanks for Siphon, Eagle, Jenkins from the University of Houston. Showing up in a big way as well. Any other teams stand out to you here, SMG?
We had Berkey, Stinky, and YouTube did pretty well on that back half. Unfortunately, I think I cast a curse Veggie, A Season, and Tab because they were in the top 10. They were my dark horse, and not in the top 10 anymore. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. You can blame me.
It's all your fault, SMG. When in doubt, blame somebody's gun. No, I'm just kidding. Somebody's gun, man. It was an absolute pleasure to cast alongside you again, man. Seriously, 2 for 2 broadcasts. Both of them have been a blast. You absolutely crushed it all tournament long. Thanks, of course, to all the viewers for watching as well. But SMG, as we wrap up here, any final thoughts? Any final shout-outs?
Man, shout out to PlayVS. I know there's a lot of guys in the background, not physically, but in the background putting on a lot of great work. Want to say props to them because they do an awesome job, both the practice server and PlayVS, putting this all on together. Thank you. Appreciate you guys. And Fallout, it was a pleasure, man. Loved casting with you. Hopefully we get to do it again soon.
Likewise. Yeah, pleasure as always. And gotta echo the same exact thing. Dream Sloth, aka Zach at PlayVS, the entire PlayVS crew, our entire Prac server crew holding it down all along. Robbie, our TD, and of course every single one of you watching. A big shout out to collegiate Fortnite. Cheers to the growth of competitive Fortnite, scholastic Fortnite at the high school collegiate level, especially in North America and beyond. It has been such a pleasure to be hosting today. We will catch you next time for the PlayVS competitions, hopefully next season. We'll see you then.